eager to get the lessons easily. It's tangkop time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na. It's tangkop time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na. Let's come and learn together, supporting one another. We love, we care, we share. It's tangkop time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na. It's tangkop time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na. It's tangkop time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na. It's tangkop time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na. It's tangkop time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na. Tangkop time.
Hello and good afternoon everyone to all grade 12 learners and to all aspiring entrepreneurs who are now watching via FB Live at the Pedtayo Tanggub and Astral Academy. I am teacher Genevieve.
And I am teacher Sheila. We are your teacher facilitators for today.
Alright, so grade 12 learners, I hope you are all fine and still productive in doing your weekly activity.
That's right, ma'am. So today, another topic to be tackled, and I know, learners, you are very eager to learn from our topic this afternoon.
Alright, so bear with us, learners, as we are going to talk another topic in entrepreneurship and the competency that is recognizing the potential market by determining the possible products or services that will meet the needs. Again, this is significant to learn as an aspiring entrepreneur, so you can determine the possible products or services that you can offer to your market and that will definitely meet their needs. For this purpose, you can sell the strategic product and that your business become feasible and successful. So again, at the end of this lesson, you will be able to determine possible products or services to meet the needs.
That's right, ma'am. So determining the possible goods or services that will meet the need of the market is, of course, essential to any startup entrepreneurs.
Yes, it is very crucial process and the concept be filled if it is not implemented properly. So no one will buy your product if they believe they don't want it or they won't need it. By what you are offering unless you clearly understand what is your market needs or wants.
All right, so of course, learners knowing and understanding market need as at the center of every success of entrepreneurs.
That's
Mao
true.
yun ang siya.
So, let's start with the product. Kaya nagsugot man taog
Product,
produkto.
yes.
What is product? Key product is any good, service, or idea that can be offered to a market to satisfy a want or a need.
You are correct, ma'am. So, speaking of products, it can be goods and services,
services,
right?
okay.
So, kumingon ta goods is katong mga products nga ato ang makita,
Okay.
na ato ang mga hawiran,
Can be seen and
yes,
can be
can be seen.
touched.
So, when
Okay.
we talk about services, is kanang serbisyo na gikahatag sa imuha.
i-render nimo sa imuhang mga
Yes.
clients.
Manang maklaro na to, learners. Okay, so the goods can be here durable like steel and non-durable goods. Products, of course,
Made in
those products made with plastic.
Dali ra siya.
Very
ma.
good. Okay. So while services, ma'am, sa ganito, ma'am, can be rented goods
Okay.
like car rental, own goods such as car services or car wash services.
Yes. Okay, so for non-good service, this referring also the idea, no, is the personal service on the part of the seller. For instance, the teacher will act as tutor, diba?
Alright.
So nag-offer siya og iyang personal service. So that is non-good service.
Okay, so for non-good services, it can be also intangibility. So in the
Yes.
service, cannot be displayed, transported,
Yes.
it cannot be stored, packaged, or inspected before buying. So
dili
next,
mo siya mahikap.
Mahikap, yes,
Dili
of
mo
course.
ma-package, dili mo siya ma-stored. Kaya
Ah.
it's man siya, non-good service. Intangible siya ka product.
Mao lagi. Okay, so next, learners, so we have in here the credibility of the service provided, which is most of the time counts.
Alright. Okay, another is inseparability. So this is service provider and services that cannot be separated. So dili siya ma-separate away from you. Kaya naman sa imuha, it's a personal.
Okay.
Okay, last is variability. So it's when the service is difficult to standardize because it varies upon the performance of the provider. So the product satisfying features could be design, the product colors, the quality, and the
Warranties. Okay, so next we have here, entrepreneurs must have a full knowledge as to what products are needed in the society.
Okay.
So as a businessman, kung ikaw tong naana sa imuhang passion ang pagpamaligya or as an entrepreneur, the first thing is you should know what products are needed in the society.
Sa imong locality.
Yes,
baka,
locality.
sa
Very
imong
good, ma'am.
environment.
Kana siya. So, the product will be for the satisfaction of the group of the target market.
Okay.
So, kung ako lang po mamaligya ay ma'am, no, dili po siguro ko mamaligya o kanang para
Dili.
sa ako ang kaugalingon lang. Kaya namaligya mo ka.
Satisfy ka.
Yes.
Dili, satisfy ang
Imuhang
market.
Or
Okay.
kanang mga mamalitay, of course.
Mamalitay, okay.
So,
To start a business, the first thing to do is to find out what is the demand for the product by conducting a
short market survey.
Yes.
So we are talking here about the demand of the product. So
Okay.
meaning to say, if you are in entrepreneurship, imo sang tan-awon sa imuhang lugar, sa imuhang locality or sa imuhang lugar baka na, usa kay demand nga pwede natong ibaligya or
ibaligya.
i-sell.
Oh,
Di ba no? Hala, demand kaayo ang kuan karon ay, unsay tawag ani?
Especially kanang
Oh.
face mask.
Yes, face mask.
Demand
Yes,
kaayo. So,
demand face shield, o di
So,
ba?
mga opportunity sa imuha nga mo baligya ka ana nga product.
Yes.
Demand
Yes.
siya.
Kung atong i-recall mga previous years katong wala pa'y
Wala pa'y
pandemic,
pandemic.
wala gyud ng face mask o
So,
ng
dili
face
siya
shield.
demand.
Yes, kay dili man siya
Dili siya
demand.
need sa market.
Correct. So now, learners, it is better to do market survey.
Okay.
Ano ka, ma'am? No?
Lang
Market
siya, no?
survey, yes. So, if necessary, with, of course, assistance from partners or advisors, because they will then properly understand their customers' needs and how their business should operate. Naanag yun,
That's the
dapat,
idea.
yes, very good. And of course, how their business, aside from how their business should operate, if an idea is found to be feasible, this knowledge will in turn to give the confidence to go ahead when problems are encountered, all right? So knowing also that their product is in demand.
Again.
Lagi na
So,
demand.
It is important to think in advance about the type of information that is needed kung mag-survey ka, di ba? And to ask people the same questions each time so that their answers can be compared and summarized.
All right? Pero kung inato lang siya, ma'am, mura ginagmay lang, so mo niya to ang survey magpamaniid, na magmaniid sa tabi kinsay na maligya diri og kuan, murag wala gyud na maligya og
Better to
turon
siya
diri.
namutok kung kano.
Correct.
Sa imuhang
Kasi inato
palibot.
lang ba o ginagmay lang. Okay. So now here, how to determine the right product to sell. So of
Okay.
course, you can truly determine products and services to sell by looking the need.
Okay.
Kana need.
Gusto
Gusto
mo
maging
target,
need.
no? Ang need yun itong target.
Yes, of
Okay,
course.
mao yun ang pinaka-importante. Okay, yes, so you have to think about your market. So, yung muna yung unsay kinahanglanon sa market. So, what is the need of your environment? Or, are you in the school ba ka ha? Unsay need sa mga students, sa mga teachers, or in the church?
So sa school siguro, ma'am, say for example, sa school, do not tell me that you're going to sell in their kandila. O, di ba, no?
Diba?
So, dili yun. Most
Dili sa
of,
relevant
yes.
sa imuhang market.
Ang ato yung ibaligay sa mga school supplies,
Supplies,
paper, mga nanay yun, no? Lizard
Especially
food.
mga snacks, no?
Yes,
So, in
snacks.
workplace ba ka ha? Okay? So, wherever you are, find a problem or need. Then, create a solution. And always consider that every solution is a business opportunity.
Kana siya. So,
Kasi
that's
problema
right.
ay solution. Ang solution is business
Opportunity na
The
siya.
part of the
Entrepreneur. Okay, so that's right. So again, learners, the first thing to do is to see what problem exists in the market, and you're going to assess if there is really a need in your environment for the product or service that you are going to sell if you have already the possible product.
Okay, so an entrepreneur must be better to consider the reasons of selling the products. And it should be with your own passion, di ba? I-consider po natin na siya. Aside sa considering the need of the market. Kung naabata na, love of your product or your business, preferences, unsay gusto sa atong mga clients or mga customers, and accessibility. Kaya dili man po pwede maligya, tangalayo sa atong target
Correct, kana
market.
dapat
Dili accessible
lang siya.
Alright.
Okay, so now learners, nata ginatawag nga 3 steps to determine product. First, we have market fit. Determine product market fit according to will called will. So the first one is, of course, this is very important, to understand your customers' current needs and kinahanglan ma-foresee nimo ang ilang future wants. Na unsa day ilang gipangita. Ano ka na? More on customers ta, yes. Needs of the customers na unsa kay halinon, unsa kay ilang pangitao na atong mahatag sa ilaha.
Okay, so another is a focus on one significant value proposition.
And third, we have build credibility.
Okay, so the best way to build credibility is to offer up a story. Yung ano story sa imong product, sa imong
Yes.
industry.
Kaya ang customers gani ma'am, kaya they want to know how your product or service is going to make sense for them. Mo na siya.
And the customers want to know how your product na siya. Then, the easiest way to do with this is to inject their needs into your brand story. Brand sa imong product.
So, ano na yung mga brand o na yung mga pangalan ng ilang mga products.
So, yung mo na siya i-consider.
Yes.
You're building credibility.
Yeah, that's
Okay, in your activity, take a look in your self-learning materials. You have there to determine the possible product or products that will meet the need in your locality or in your target market. Right, so senior high school learners, we hope that you acquire knowledge on the topics being shared to all of you. So stay tuned.
Yes, stay tuned, learners, because later on we are going to take up another subject, which is 3 I's, or inquiries, investigation, and immersion. Of course, this is after our short break. This is Astral Academy Cyber School.
radyo, lina at matuto sa mga aral sa mundo. Tayo na. Tumutok na sa TV, mag-aral ng maigi to get the lessons easily. It's tangkop, tangkop, tangkop time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na. It's tangkop, tangkop, tangkop time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na. Tayo na. Let's come and learn together, supporting one another. We love, we care, we share. It's tangkop, tangkop, tangkop time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na. It's tangkop, tangkop, tangkop time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na. It's tangkop, tangkop, tangkop time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na. It's tangkop, tangkop, tangkop time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na. It's tangkop, tangkop, tangkop time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na. Tangkop, tangkop time.
We are back and still here and Astral Academy Cyber School. Okay, so now let's proceed to our next subject, which is again 3 I's. So when we say 3 I's, this is inquiries, investigation, and immersion. So for today's topic, we have reading on related studies.
Okay.
So the literature review is important because it describes how the proposed research is related to prior research in statistics. So meaning to say, it shows the originality and relevance of your research problem. Specifically, learners, your research is different from other statisticians. Yes.
Unique siya.
Yes, unique yun siya, ma'am. So, it justifies your proposed methodology. And for our learning competency, you have to select, cite, and synthesize related literature using sources according to ethical standards.
And now, learners, are you ready? So let's begin. Let's start by the definition. So what is literature? Literature refers to a collection of written work with heightened and artistic use of words, may it be fiction or non-fiction.
So however, learners, in its operational definition in research, Okay, next we have here, this terminology refers to published information in a particular subject area that sometimes covers a certain period of time. So, meaning to say, learners, in research, mauning mga published material na may direct connection or related sa mga variables na topic na atong gamiton or ginagamit sa ato ang research.
Okay, related literature sa Tagalog pa, kaugnay sa panitikan.
Yes, kaugnay na panitikan. panitikan. Ano siya, ma'am?
Kaugnay na panitikan. So, research should have a good review of existing knowledge that it will understand on.
Yes, or that it will stand on. So, when we say a review of related literature or kanang RRL, yes,
okay,
is a detailed review of existing literature related to the topic of research work. So, sa ato ang RRL students, you are going to talk about knowledge and findings from existing literature relevant sa imuhang topic. Kana
Okay.
siya.
So remember, students, when writing the review, begin by providing the background and the purpose of the review. Kaya nangangailangan tignan talaga natin at basahin at i-review ang resource materials kung ito ay magiging matibay o susol sa ating ginagawang research.
Or
diba?
akma ba siya,
Related
ma'am?
ba siya?
Yes.
Oo.
Or related ba siya sa imuhang
atuang
topic
topic.
na imuhang gigama?
Yes.
Okay. So now, students, here, how we could ethically select, cite, and synthesize related literature.
Okay.
So dapat is naataaning pagpapakita o kumbaga imong i-overview of current knowledge, allowing you to identify relevant theories.
Okay.
So meaning to say, literature review is a survey of, sa ganun siya, ma'am, scholarly source on a specific topic, methods, and gaps in the existing research.
Alright.
So, kung maumanggalin na siya, in writing a literature review, nag-involves ni siya of finding relevant publications such as, saan siya, ma'am? Books.
No? Pwede sa books,
Yes. Journals,
Okay.
critically analyzing, then of course, explaining what you found. So of
Alright.
course, learners, dili na to ilimit kaya pwede man punta maka-search
Kung
sa
asa
internet,
ba, sa mga social
yes,
media.
sa social media, daghan kayo tag pwede mapangitaan.
sources, diba?
Yes, mga sources.
Okay, now, let's move on to the characteristics of materials to be
cited.
Ang first
Okay.
one is recency. Dapat recent, no? The material should be included in the review, should be recent as much as possible. So, for general references, published materials 10 years ago are yet sound and valid. So, another is primary, secondary, and tertiary references with last 5 years are
Ideal
ideal.
still.
So, so archive materials may also use a reference for theories and concepts.
So,
Okay.
dapat naa siya, no? Dapat recent ang
Recent
iyaha.
siya.
So, again, kung maabot siya og 10 years, okay,
So,
ragyapon,
magamit
idea,
pagyapon
ragyapon siya.
So,
Okay.
within the 10 years.
Yes, of course. So, mao na ato ang bantayan learners, ato ang RRL. Okay, so we have here objectivity. So, since research is academic and scholarly, so the material should be dapat fair,
Fair siya.
and of course, objective, and pinaka-importante learners is bias-free siya.
Alright.
Kana siya. So remember, it should not favor any extreme and obvious vested interest aside from delivering facts, information, and findings. So pag finalize na nimo sa imuhang kuan RRL, pag cite na nimo, pag select o pag cite,
Dapat
kinahanglan fair ka.
bias-free.
Yes, bias-free na siya.
Okay, next is relevance. Okay, relevance, the weight of relevance of the materials to the current research understanding must be checked. Dapat. Before citing it, it should bear essential information to clarify and deepen the issues and concepts of research being conducted. So, otherwise, the material should not be considered for
The review. So, dapat naa siya
You have to
relevant.
consider.
Yes.
Relevant.
Dapat naa siya.
Related siya sa imong topic.
Kana,
diba?
ma'am.
Kung
That's my
malayo
point.
siya,
Yes.
kung malayo siya, so hindi siya ma-apply sa mga RRL.
Yes. So, dapat related siya sa inyong topic, learners, ha? Sa inyong research topic. So, dili ta pwede nga magkuan lang ta, mamili lang ta kung unsay gusto nato or ganahan nato.
Sa kanya alam siya nga
Yes.
word, nilayo na kayo siya sa iyong topic.
Kana, that's my point. Okay, so we have conciseness. Kaning conciseness is the materials that the review should have sufficient enough, not too few, then dili pud siya too many.
Okay.
So to provide the researcher and the readers kani siya to provide the researcher and the reader strong insight about the general and specific problems that the research is trying to address or answer.
Yes.
So, mauna siya. Dapat concise.
Brief and concise.
Yes, brief and
So,
concise.
naabit na there, nakasulod dito na
Yes.
information
So,
you needed.
very good. So, since learners kay senior high school, the numbers of related literature that you're going to review, of course, you only have 4 to 6 local and international publication
Yes,
or
materials.
materials. So, however, sa ato ang kuan ma'am, sa ato ang
sa
higher education or graduate and postgraduate
postgraduate
level,
yes.
ang numbers of
Range
literatures
nila
will range
is
of 15 to
50
50 na siya nga
materials.
materials. Okay, so now learners, makita ninyo sa ato ang screen karon ang ato ang examples. Medyo taas-taas na siya, no? Pero amo wa gining gitagaan og time para ma-visualize or para ma-analyze ninyo na this is just an example of RRL. So,
Yes.
we have in there review of related literature on language and its sustainability in the teaching and learning process. So, this is the excerpt from Eugene Ray F. Santos or MAT. Okay, so among basahon learners, so please follow lang ta, okay? So let me begin, ma'am.
With the
Go.
major premise to being higher literacy among younger children, learners are being taught their mother tongue and their primary education alongside with Tagalog. Sa Tagalog, which is the most common variety of the national language of the country. So this is in consonance with the findings of various studies on bilingualism. Okay, so McBee et al. 2003 found a reasonable basis from the growing population of bilinguals in the world to affirm that learning using two languages does not lead to confusion or difficulty in an academic environment.
Okay, so next we have in there, the mentioned studies zoom in the starting phase of language development wherein most factors that affect language learning are externally produced or the physical language environment. So it can be pointed out that the situation where a learner is raised and the people who surround him have bearing in the failure or success of language acquisition, training, and learning. Considering these factors beyond the school, the actual teaching learning environment, language teachers indeed have a very serious job at work. Okay, so let's continue.
Okay, another is it is undeniably that there is a voluminous input available about language teaching and learning. So, however, making language learning effective and efficient, considering learners' diversity, personality, behavior, intelligence, and other equally important factors still remains quite challenging for language professionals.
Okay, so now let's continue. I hope naka-follow ta learners. Now here, so the study of Scott et al. 2010 through neuroscience point out that every learner is totally unique across contexts. So in this light, it is affirmative that the inability or failure of the teaching and learning process, especially in language acquisition, is definitely dependent on the delivery of information to a student's learning readers or learning style. Okay?
Okay, I think next is Hakorite 2014 presents 6 evidence-based principles of language development from a review of various papers which highlight the struggle in second language learning from those principles. So it could be inferred that matching teaching with learning style is essential. So dedicating more time in providing the motivation and skills necessary to attain learning objectives is also a priority, including strategies that appeal to each learning style. Okay, so it's a visual, auditory, and kinesthetic baka from a range of individualized and group tasks for language.
Okay, so let's continue. Gamay na lang learners. Okay, meanwhile, From the investigation of Cabrera and Cotosi in 2010, over the last 15 years, they noted that the higher critical thinking starts with hands-on exploration and the sense of touch. So it is found out that touch contributions not only for the understanding of abstract concepts but also to for critical thinking skills essential to learning. So we have also here making distinctions, recognizing relationships, organizing system, and taking multiple perspective. Okay? So naa sa inyong screen karon learners makita nato ang mga references na amo ang gikwaan sa amo ang example or post na RRL. So mo na siya. Yes, review of related literature. So makita ninyo. So now learners, what we are going to do now is to ato siyang tan-awon kung asa makita nato sa paragraph ang mga relevance, asa nato ang recency or katong conciseness, kato siya. So let's go back to our example, okay? Forward sa ta, yes. Okay, we have in there our first example or our first paragraph rather. Okay, we have here. Okay, so sa first paragraph na diha, so try to read na lang learners ha, atong tan-awon kay gibasa naman na namo ganiha. Okay.
So in the first paragraph,
sa first paragraph,
makita na to ang iyahang unsay makita sa
taught their mother tongue in their primary education alongside with Tagalog, which is the most common variety of the national language of the country. So kani siya nga part class is ginatawag nato na siya og relevance. Diha ning sulod ang iyang relevance of the topic, and aside from that, diha pod naka-include or ning sulod ang ato ang recency. Nasa kinatapusan nga part. Yes, na diha to ang relevance and recency. Ngano nakaingon tag na recency? It's because of the date na presented in there.
Or year.
Year, correct. Year rather. Sorry. Year. Now, Macbe et al. 2003. Okay, so next paragraph. So you have in there, unsa ni siya nga part, ma'am? Second paragraph. Where learner is raised and the people who surround him. Most factors that affect language learning are externally produced or the physical language environment. Okay. So please up naa diha sa atoa. Okay.
The objective, no? Makita
yes.
Ang objective, the material should be fair, objective, and
bias free. So kana siya nga part is objective. Diha nato makita ang iyang objective. So meaning to say, when we talk about objective, ang iyang materials kay fair siya and bias free. Kung nagsunod mo og basa ganiha, masabtan ninyo. Okay? So next, we have next paragraph. So ang nakuha nato ma'am is na natay relevance, recency, and then objectivity. Okay, so next, we have in there teaching and learning is the study of Scott et al. 2010 through neuroscience point out that every learner is a totally unique across context. So natay gi-highlight diya.
Yes. In this slide, it is affirmative that the inability or failure of the teaching and learning. So kumbaga diha nato makita ang conciseness, researcher and reader's strong insight about the general and specific problem.
So diha nga paragraph learners, diha nato makita ang ato ang conciseness. Sa ditong conciseness gani is the general
overview
overview of
overview of
both asa siya about the general and specific problem, which is both researcher and readers. So strong insights. Diya siya na sulod. Okay? So last part, I think last paragraph. Okay, we have in there the relevance also. Di ba?
Makita na to.
Yes, makita po na to ang ato ang relevance. Yes. So na si Cabrera and Cotosi for 2010. Okay? So meaning to say, yes.
Ako ang recency niya 2010.
Yes, kay nag-talk man siya about sa kanang year, which is 2010. Okay? So diha pod na sulod tong relevance pod. Okay. So mga na students in writing your RRL, so ato ang related
you have to consider the relevance,
kato siya nga mga materials to be cited.
Activity,
yes.
consider good nimo siya.
Then, kinahanglan learner sa it doesn't mean na kapag naka-research na mo or nakakita na mo og pwede ninyo magamit sa inyo ang RRL, it doesn't mean nga ilaras na dayon ninyo. So, of course, you have to review. Inyo siya sang i-review, inyo siyang basahon og taman, kung related ba siya or appropriate ba siya sa imong topic o sa imong research topic. Kana siya. Kay basin ba og naka-cite lang ta or naka-select lang ta which is dili siya or wala siya relevant sa imong kuan sa imong topic. Wala lang murag Christmas tree or murag bonus lang siya.
Erase
So
lang
dili
yapon
siya pwede.
Erase lang yapon siya kung
i-erase lang yapon na siya. Kay kung imo na siya ipa-check sa imong teacher o
sa editor,
ipa-erase or ipa-delete ra gyapon na siya sa inyo ha. Okay learners, medyo taas-taas yan, but I hope you enjoyed and I hope you've learned something from our RRL this afternoon.
Alright.
Okay? So of course, for your activity this afternoon, from your research topic, you are going to select and cite an appropriate context for reviewing the literature.
Okay, good
So, same ra gyapon sa among
process
gigama
niya, no?
nga example.
Mag-select gapon siya. True, kung halito magkita, pwede sa book,
Yes.
sa journal,
Sa
or
internet.
Sa internet.
Or pwede po og kuan sa tawag ani mga mga lagi to
Mga
mga
articles,
mga
no?
articles pwede kaayo. So I think dili na lisod sa inyo ha learners kay ngano man daghan na kay tag mga resources or available resources na pwede nato kapangitaan
anytime.
or pwede nato nga ma-search kana
Wow,
siya.
okay. So again, you have to select. Yan, then cite.
Cite.
Of course, i-synthesize
I-synthesize pa gyud ay unta ninyo. I-synthesize gyud di ay. I-synthesize pa di ay ninyo nalimot me. You're going to synthesize.
Yes, ang imuhang reviewing the literature.
So, again, learners ha, it doesn't mean, usbon gyud namo ni siya para dili gyud masayop, na it doesn't mean nga click ninyo or pangita ninyo dito sa internet bitaw search ninyo is dili to siya automatically nga mauna to siya tanan. Kay actually ang among example is nangita mi nag-cite or nag-select pa mi mga portion ra to siya which is related siya sa topic. Diba? Na amo ang gi-present sa inyo ha. So kinahanglan mapanuri, si tawag ana ma'am. Kanang grabe kita anin no. Kinahanglan nalimot ko sa term. Sige lang kong kalimot. Dapat is atong basahon to make it short. Basahon pag-ayo og ato ang subtone na related ba siya sa ato ang research topic or sa ato ang study.
Okay, so good luck learners in your task for this week. Let us take a look at your second attendance marker for today. Again, this is Teacher Genevieve.
Okay, and this is Teacher Sheila. We are your teacher researcher to help you in your journey with to explore, of course, the role of 3 I's and entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship. Okay? So thank you so much, learners, and bye-bye. See you next week.
The Department of Education, Division of Dangub City, in partnership with the local government unit of Dangub, presents Ang Tangkub, Transforming Advancement in the New Normal, guiding K-12 learners under broadcast media and instructional program, crafted in response to the need of making education possible and accessible to students at the comfort of their homes. It covers the most essential competencies, thematically layered in drama plays which were originally written, directed, and performed by teachers to see to it that education is securely provided. This is Ang Tangkub. Tumutok na sa TV, mag-aral ng maigi to get the lessons easily. It's tangkop, tangkop, tangkop time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na. It's tangkop, tangkop, tangkop time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na. Tayo na. Let's come and learn together, supporting one another. We love, we care, we share. It's tangkop, tangkop, tangkop time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na. It's tangkop, tangkop, tangkop time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na. It's tangkop, tangkop, tangkop time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na. It's tangkop, tangkop, tangkop time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na. It's tangkop, tangkop, tangkop time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na. Tangkop, tangkop time. Tayo, tayo na. Buksan ang mga radyo, lina at matuto sa mga aral sa mundo. Tayo, tayo na. Tumutok na sa TV, mag-aral ng maigi to get the lessons easily. It's tangkop, tangkop, tangkop time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na. It's tangkop, tangkop, tangkop time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na. Tayo, tayo na. Let's come and learn together, supporting one another. We love, we care, we share. It's tangkop, tangkop, tangkop time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na. It's tangkop, tangkop, tangkop time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na.
the Department of Education, Division of Tangub City, in partnership with the local government unit of Tangub, presents Ang Tangkub, transforming advancement in the new normal, guiding K-12 learners under broadcast media, crafted in response to the need of making education possible and accessible to students at the comfort of their homes. It covers the most essential competencies thematically layered in drama plays, which were originally written, directed, and performed by teachers to see to it that education is securely provided. This is Ang Tangkub.
It's tangkub time. We learn all things, it's very fun. Masaya. Tangkub time.
Our lesson for today has something to do with expressing one's belief and conviction, just like what you shared to us.
Wow, what a coincidence!
You're right, Mamahal.
In overcoming the challenges of today, you as a learner must be equipped with 21st century skills, particularly in expressing one's beliefs and convictions based on the material viewed to continually learn even in these trying times.
As you have difficulty in expressing your beliefs and convictions, you must learn the skill in formulating them. This will truly help you enhance your ability to express meaningful ideas and become an effective contributor and responsible citizen.
As we go along the lesson, let us unlock first the terms beliefs and convictions through watching the video clip Filipino superstitions and beliefs, and answer the process questions that follow. Process questions. First, what are the beliefs shown in the video clip? Second, which among these beliefs do you agree with? Third and last, do you think these beliefs have scientific explanations? Why or why not? Now let us view the video.
Hoy! Anong ginagawa mo? Ba't natutulog ka ang basa mo ko? Di mo ba alam mabulag ka?
Ha? Paano?
Basta! Basta! Tayo!
No?
Uy! Huwag kayo umalis! Ayoko maging single forever!
Wait! Balik ka naman dito! Go over back kasi hindi ako tatangkan yan. Dali, come on!
Hindi ba yan? Nakahilata ka na naman! Tubulong ka nga sa bahay! Ang kwentong bata to! Hoy! Anong ginagawa mo? Malis maghuli sa gabi!
Uy, may papasok na babae?
Beautiful life, beautiful day. 미치도록 널 사랑.
Tamaan ko sana masamang hangin.
Sus, di totoo yan. Grabe.
Guys, selfie!
Wait, game it. Wait, bakit ako yung nasa gitna? Di ba malas yan? Baka mamatay ako. On.
Happy New Year!
Uy, alam mo ba, kapag nagbigay ka daw ng bracelet sa isang tao, hindi mo na daw siya makikita ever. As in, magkakalayuan daw kayo.
Uy, may gift ako sa'yo.
Oh, thank you. Bracelet. Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Charot.
Okay.
Now, what are the beliefs shown in the video? You're right! Some of these are: do not sleep with wet hair because it can cause blindness. Second, do not leave the table until the last person is done eating, or else that person will be single forever. The third one, do not walk over someone for he or she might not grow taller, and many more. Surely, you have listed all the things which you agree with among these beliefs. Moreover, when it comes to answering questions if these beliefs have scientific explanations, our answers vary. Alright, let's get to know more about these beliefs and convictions, and how they affect us in our daily living. Belief versus conviction. A belief is something that is considered correct and true. For example, a person can believe in various things such as cultural or personal faith, morality, or values. They express viewpoints, but they are not based on facts or other evidences. A belief is also an opinion, which is why it cannot serve as the basis of formal argument. Beliefs are very personal ideas and cannot be rejected because they express an opinion. It is not mandatory for beliefs to change completely with new experiences. On the other hand, a conviction is a bit different to belief. A conviction is something that an individual is convinced of. To be convinced, you need to obtain all the related information. It is based on this information that the conviction is built. Hence, unlike a belief that changes with time and new experiences, a conviction remains the same. However, conviction is more complex than belief as it becomes a point of view of the world. These are the basic signal phrases in expressing beliefs or convictions. For example, I believe, in my opinion, I think, I feel, in my personal view, from my point of view. Those are the signals that express beliefs or convictions. Their intentions and purposes would rely on the additional specific informations as your source. You have just acquainted yourself on the basic signal phrases expressing beliefs and convictions. This will help you in constructing simple sentences with meaning. Are you ready to take more activities to test your knowledge? I am sure you are.
This time, observe the infographic about Filipino dining etiquette. This time, let us generate some interpretations about the infographic presented. First, I believe that we can be early when invited to eat. Second, in my opinion, Filipinos have the fork and spoon as typical utensils. Third, I think the gender of the guest will be revealed by the dropping of the utensils. Fourth, I feel that I cannot refuse any packed meal. Fifth, in my personal view, burping is acceptable. And number 6, or the last one, is, from my point of view, hostas sounds indifferent to Filipinos because of its other meaning. Now let's accomplish the table. Now you will be given a table and from the generated interpretations, and you must classify them whether the sentence is based on personal belief or based on additional specific information as your source. Let us check your answers. The sentences which are classified under personal beliefs are the following. First, I believe that we can be early when invited to eat. The next sentence is, I think the gender of the guest will be revealed by the dropping of the utensils. And lastly, I feel that I cannot refuse any packed meal. On the other hand, the sentences which are based on additional specific informations are the following. In my opinion, Filipinos have the fork and spoons as typical utensils. Second sentence, in my personal view, burping is acceptable. And lastly, from my point of view, hostess sounds indifferent to Filipinos because of its other meaning. Congratulations for doing great, learners! Viewing as a macro skill in English language helps you express your ideas out from the materials you have viewed. Our daily living embraces the existence of visual media like television and online platforms, which will help us gain meaningful experiences. Images like infographics, editorial cartoons, and video clips take a huge role in developing our ability to express our beliefs and convictions. Let us recall the sentences in our previous activity and notice the underlined words. I believe that we can be early when invited to eat. In my opinion, Filipinos have the fork and spoon as typical utensils. Third, I think the gender of the guest will be revealed by the dropping of the utensils. Next, I feel that I cannot refuse any packed meal. In my personal view, burping is acceptable. And lastly, from my point of view, hostess sounds vulgar to Filipinos because of its other meaning. Now, what have you noticed with the underlined words and how do you call them? Correct! The underlined words are written in the beginning of each sentence, and they are called basic signal phrases in expressing beliefs and convictions. The second question that we need to ask is, what do the signal phrases mean? Alright, the signal phrases express beliefs and convictions. Their intentions and purposes would highly rely on the additional specific information as your source. Now, what do you need to remember in sentence expressing beliefs and convictions? Exactly, you need to acquaint yourself with the basic signal phrases in expressing your beliefs and convictions. This will help you in constructing sentences with meaning.
Great job, learners! Let us see what you have learned so far. You are now ready to answer the activity. Let us read the directions.
Directions. Use the infographic to express your beliefs and convictions regarding COVID-19 protective measures. Make sure that you use the basic signal phrases. It's 5 points each.
As what Karen Marie Moning said, it is what you choose to believe that makes you a person you are. Hence, we need to be very careful in making sure that our belief is grounded on reality.
Have a great time, learners! Always remember that the knowledge you get in English helps you become a global citizen capable of conquering the world. This has been Mama Halia
And Ma'am Pinky,
your English teacher, still here in your one and only educational TV program.
Ang Tangku.
Goodbye!
Hello grade 7 learners! Welcome to another learning episode of Ang Tangkub TV-based instruction. I am Teacher James, your teacher in TLE Carpentry Exploratory course. For today's lesson, we will discuss the classifications of hand tools. A complete inspection is an important preventive way to make sure equipment is safe for use and that systems are all working properly. Employers are required to get unsafe equipment repaired to ensure worker safety. Damaged or broken equipment requires immediate repair to prevent problems. Classification of hand tools. Measuring tools. Pull-push rule. flexible tape that slides into a material case and it is used to measure irregular and regular shapes. Ruler, a 12-inch or 1-foot rule, and it is used to take or make simple measurements. Meter stick, used to measure a workpiece. Tri-square, squaring, measuring, and testing tool used to check adjacent surfaces for squareness. Caliper, used to transfer measurements from the rule to the work. Marking lining tools. Pencil, used to lay out or mark cutting lines. Marking gauge, wood or metal tool consisting of a beam, head, and a point used to mark a line parallel to the grain of the wood. Chalk line, used to establish a straight line on a surface. Divider, a tool with 2 metal legs used to lay out an arc circle or step of division on a line. Compass, used to scribe arcs and circle in a metal wood. Testing tools. Tri-square, a tool used in squaring, measuring, and testing the squareness of a wood. Steel square, framing square used to mark out the work for squaring and checking of angles, and is used in the construction of roof framing and large furniture. Spirit level, a tool used for testing vertical and horizontal surfaces. Edge cutting tools. Chisel, a tool used to trim and shape wood. Plane, a tool used to obtain a smooth and flat surface. Cabinet scraper, a rectangular piece of steel with 2 cutting edges used for working flat and curved shapes. Tooth cutting tools. Cross-cut saw, a hand saw used to cut the wood across the grain. Rip saw, a hand saw used to cut the wood along the grain. Back saw, a hand saw with a metal back and plywood and joinery. Compass saw, used to cut a regular shape either in large or small board. Turning saw, a tool used to rip, cross, and cut curves in lumber. Coping saw, a U-shaped saw used for cutting irregular shape in small boards. Dovetail saw, a small box saw with a straight chisel-type handle used to cut very fine joints. Boring tools. Auger bit, a tool used to make hole in woods. Expansive bit, a tool used to drill holes of various sizes in woods. Drill bit, a tool used for boring holes either in metals, woods, or plastics. Holding tools. C-clamp, a tool used for holding together pieces of lumber while working. Bench vise, it is used to hold any materials or tools in place. Bar clamp, a tool used to hold large boards or frames together while assembling or gluing. Miscellaneous tools. Oil stone, used for sharpening edge cutting tools such as chisel. Files, used to smoothen metal and wood surfaces. Paintbrush, used to apply paint or varnish on wood surfaces. Nail set, used to drive the head of nails lower than surface of wood. Saw set, used to bend the upper half of each tooth to one side or the other to form a set. Portable power tools. Sander, a portable power tool used for sanding furniture pieces. Router, used for shaping surfaces and edges of furniture parts. Jigsaw, a power tool used primarily for cutting curved or irregular shapes of wood surfaces. Circular saw, a power saw used for many types of cutting, particularly on large panel stock. Electric drill, a power drill which is used to drill holes in various materials to perform a multitude of tasks. Personal protective equipment or PPE. Goggles, used to protect the eyes against flying debris and harmful liquids. Ear protector, used to protect the ears against high-frequency noise. Face mask, used to prevent the inhalation of sprayed paint fumes. Gloves, used to protect the hands while working. Apron, used to protect the worker against flying debris. Driving tools, claw hammer, used to drive and pull out nails on wooden surfaces. Mallet, made out of wood or rubber, used to drive other tools like chisel. Nail set, used in setting the head of a finishing nail below the surface of the wood. Screwdriver, used to drive and loose screws. There you have it, learners. Those are the different classifications of hand tools. At this point, let us try to check your understanding from today's lesson. Please get your activity sheet in TLE Carpentry Exploratory Course and answer the given questions. Before we end, always remember that according to Ted Turner, you should set goals beyond your reach so you always have something to live for. This has been Teacher James saying continue learning and hashtag Shine Tanggub Stars.
Have you at certain time asked yourself what is your commonality with other Asians? Have you had the desire to find the answer to this question? Why are we called Asians, by the way? If you will be given the opportunity to search for the answer to these questions and travel to Asia, where do you want to start? Would you like to go to Kuala Lumpur, Bandar Seri Begawan, Hanoi, Jakarta, Phnom Penh?
Wow, Mamahal! The places you mentioned are all parts of our bucket list. Don't forget to mention South Korea and Japan. I want to see cherry blossom in full bloom.
Sounds interesting. Hello there, grade 8 learners. Please lend us your undivided attention because later on, you will be expected to analyze a specific literature as a mirror to a shared heritage with people of diverse background.
Before delving deeper into our lesson, let us first define these important terminologies.
Literature is any written works that are considered to have a long-lasting impact or importance as it expresses permanent interest ideas. This can either be in a form of poetry or prose.
Culture is the characteristics and knowledge of a particular group of people encompassing language, religion, cuisine, social habits, music, and arts.
Diversity refers to the existence of variations of different characteristics in a group of people. These characteristics could be everything that makes us unique, such as our cognitive skills and our personality traits, along with the things that shape our identity.
Heritage is a legacy from the past, what we live with today, and what we pass on to future generations.
Now, it's time for us to analyze a certain literary piece and understand how it mirrors to a shared heritage of people with diverse background. This piece is written by a Thai author, Chayasi Sentun Pipit, and translated by James Mossel and Barton Ruffel.
Before we read it, learners, please consider reflecting to the following process questions. Processing questions. First, what feeling is expressed in the poem? Second, what belief of Thai people do you think is emphasized in the poem? And the last one, do Filipinos and Thai people have the same belief? How can it be proven?
You can read the poem along with me as it will be flashed on your screen. Till Heart's End by Chayasi Sonton Pifi. My mind glows, knows no fear of the darkness and its tight web. Though the stars blur and the moon's dim rays are sucked into nothingness, and the oneness of man still cannot be found. Though the sky splits and crackles, drops no gentle music. Though a rooster's hurried crowing jars my ears, and a frightened dog goes whimpering up and down, this clear light inside me pushes the wild, heavy night back. It will never flicker. It can never change. Neither pain nor sorrow can reach it. The earth swings in circles. Soon light must break through dawn, hanging golden and clear over all the world, men living like men. In the lonely night I lie listening to my own heart, the darkness so thick I could lose my way. Except the faint echoing chant of the most precious words ever written. Words like drops from heaven, falling like wisdom, strength, peace, beauty into waiting heart. These two small hands will move as this mind leads to them, will carry Buddha's divine law here to this earth until this heart no longer beats.
Now this time, let us answer the process questions one by one. The first question is, what feeling is expressed in the poem? We can be able to answer this by understanding the poem stanza by stanza. First stanza, we must not lose hope. Unity is what we need to overcome different problems in our life. Second stanza, we need unity to achieve harmony and peace in this world. Third stanza, light, which is symbolic of hope, can help us encounter sorrow. Fourth stanza, our lives here on earth is like a wheel. There are ups and downs, but with perseverance, we can achieve our dreams. Fifth stanza, listen to the words of God, for it can help you live in this world. And the last stanza, or the sixth stanza, let's be faithful to God and follow His divine law until our last breath, for we need God's guidance always.
Now, let us proceed with answering the second question. What belief of Thai people is emphasized in the poem? The belief of Thai people which is emphasized in the poem is clearly shown in the last stanza, and that is Buddha's divine law. If you could still recall, Buddhism believes that to get nirvana or heaven, one has to follow the Eightfold Path, which are to believe right, desire right, think right, live right, do the right efforts, think the right thoughts, behave right, and do the right meditations.
Now, let us answer the third and last question. Do Filipinos and Thai people have the same belief? How can it be proven? Though Filipinos and Thai people have diverse backgrounds, both have the same belief about a supreme being that rules heaven and earth. Buddhism promotes spirituality with special reference to prayer and meditation for the transformation of humankind. Even now, the followers of Buddha put their energies into prayer and meditation as the means of spiritual enrichment. This is quite similar with Christianity's belief that exemplifies the goodness, the Creator, and with the goodness, we, His living creations, must do the thing of heaven while still here on earth to attain salvation.
Now that you have learned that a literary piece can actually mirror to a shared heritage of people with diverse backgrounds, it's now your turn to get your activity sheet and do the following instructions. Activity number 1, directions. Examine the following sentences below. Write fact if the statement is correct, bluff if otherwise. Now write your answer on a separate sheet of paper. Activity number 2, read, analyze, and interpret directions. Read the literary work below, then answer the questions that follow by writing the letter of the correct answer on your sheet of paper.
You can make it, learners! Every nation and country has really its own literature reflective of one's culture. Knowing one's literature means studying its heritage and background.
Literature also gives us an insight as to how people coexist and have shared values regardless of their diverse backgrounds or different kinds of upbringing. Always remember that the knowledge you get in English helps you become a global citizen capable of conquering the world. This has been Ma'am Halia
And Ma'am Pinky,
your English teachers, continually saying, continue to love, care, and share. Still here in your one and only educational TV program, Ang
Ang
Tangkub.
Tangkub.
Goodbye!
Hello grade 8 learners! Welcome to another learning episode of Ang Tangkub TV-based instruction. I am Teacher James, your teacher in TLE Computer Hardware Servicing Exploratory course. For today's lesson, we will discuss the proper use of hand tools. Proper use of hand tools. A technician needs to be able to properly use each tool in the toolkit. This topic covers many of the various hand tools used when repairing computers. Screws. Match each screw with a proper screwdriver. Place the tip of the screwdriver on the head of the screw. Turn the screwdriver clockwise to tighten the screw and counterclockwise to loosen the screw. Screws can become stripped if you over-tighten them with a screwdriver. A stripped screw may get stuck in the screw hole or it may not tighten firmly. Discard stripped screws. Flathead screwdriver. Use a flathead screwdriver when you are working with a slotted screw. Do not use a flathead screwdriver to remove a Phillips head screw. Never use a screwdriver as a pry bar. If you cannot remove a component, check to see if there is a clip or latch that is securing the component in place. Caution when using flathead screwdriver. If excessive force is needed to remove or add a component, something is probably wrong. Take a second look to make sure that you have not missed a screw or a locking clip that is holding the component in place. Refer to the device manual or diagram for additional information. Phillips head screwdriver. Use a Phillips head screwdriver with crosshead screws. Do not use this type of screwdriver to puncture anything. This will damage the head of the screwdriver. Hex driver. Use a hex driver to loosen and tighten bolts that have a hexagonal or six-sided head. Hex bolts should not be over-tightened because the threads of the bolts can be stripped. Do not use a hex driver that is too large for the bolt that you are using. Caution when using the hex driver. Some tools are magnetized. When working around electronic devices, be sure that the tools you are using have not been magnetized. Magnetic fields can be harmful to data stored on magnetic media. Test your tool by touching the tool with a screw. If the screw is attracted to the tool, do not use the tool. Part retriever, needle nose pliers, or tweezers. The part retriever, needle nose pliers, and tweezers can be used to place and retrieve parts that may be hard to reach with your fingers. Do not scratch or hit any components when using these tools. Caution when using the part retriever, needle nose pliers, or tweezers. Pencils should not be used inside the computer to change the setting of switches or to pry off jumpers. The pencil lead can act as a conductor and may damage the computer components. Proper use of cleaning materials. Keeping computers clean inside and out is a vital part of a maintenance program. Dirt can cause problems with the physical operations of fans and other mechanical components. On electrical components, an excessive buildup of dust will act like an insulator and trap the heat. This insulation will impair the ability of heat sinks and cooling fans to keep components cool, causing chips and circuits to overheat and fail. Caution in using cleaning materials. When compressed air is used to clean inside the computer, the air should be blown around the components with a minimum distance of 4 inches from the nozzle. The power supply and the fan should be cleaned from the back of the case. Before cleaning any device, turn it off and unplug the device from the power source. Computer cases and monitors. Clean the computer cases and the outside of monitors with a mild cleaning solution on a damp, lint-free cloth. Mix 1 drop of dishwashing liquid with 4 ounces of water to create the cleaning solution. If any water drips inside the case, allow enough time for the liquid to dry before powering on the computer. LCD screens. Do not use ammoniated glass cleaners or any other solution on an LCD screen unless the cleaner is specifically designed for the purpose. Harsh chemicals will damage the coating on the screen. There is no glass protecting these screens, so be gentle when cleaning them and do not press firmly on the screen. CRT screens. To clean the screens of CRT monitors, dampen a soft, clean, lint-free cloth with distilled water and wipe the screen from top to bottom. Then use a soft, dry cloth to wipe the screen and remove any streaking after you have cleaned the monitor. Component contacts. Clean the contacts on components with isopropyl alcohol. Do not use rubbing alcohol. Rubbing alcohol contains impurities that can damage contacts. Make sure that the contacts do not collect any lint from the cloth or cotton swab. Blow any lint off the contacts with compressed air before reinstallation. Keyboard. Clean a desktop keyboard with compressed air or a small, handheld vacuum cleaner with a brush attachment. Caution when cleaning the keyboard. Never use a standard vacuum cleaner inside a computer case. The plastic parts of the vacuum cleaner can build up static energy and discharge to the components. Use only a vacuum approved for electronic components. Mouse. Use glass cleaner and a soft cloth to clean the outside of the mouse. Do not spray glass cleaner directly on the mouse. If cleaning a ball mouse, you can remove the ball and clean it with glass cleaner and a soft cloth. Wipe the rollers clean inside the mouse with the same cloth. Do not spray any liquid inside the mouse. There you have it, learners. Those are the things you need to bear in mind when it comes to proper use of hand tools. At this point, let us try to check your understanding from today's lesson. Please get your activity sheet in TLE Computer Hardware Servicing Exploratory Course and answer the given questions. Before we end, always remember that according to Andrew Carnegie, if you want to be happy, set a goal that commands your thoughts, liberates your energy, and inspires your hope. This has been Teacher James saying continue learning and #Shine Tanggub Stars.
Listening skills is one of the skills that we need to have in order to correctly interpret the information that we heard.
Today, we will be applying this skill using graphic organizers or visual representations.
In order for you to easily understand and interpret the information or the message of the text you listen to, let us explore more. Nonverbal illustrations are called graphic organizers or visual representations. A graphic organizer is a visual and graphic display that depicts the relationships between facts, terms, or ideas within a learning task. A graphic organizer helps you learners to easily organize your ideas, sequence events, and interprets information or messages from the text using some of its examples like tables, charts, graphs, or diagrams. Graphic organizer of facts, information, or details from the listening text provides you the opportunities to learn better and faster. Let us take a look at these examples. First, table or grid is a systematic arrangement or grouping of related concepts or words in rows and columns that readily show the relationship and values. The second one, is chart or flowchart. It is a graphical representation of a process. It shows steps in sequential order, presenting the workflow or processes by connecting them with arrows. The third one is graph. Graph can be defined as a pictorial representation or a diagram that represents data or values in an organized manner. It may be a line graph, bar graph, or pie graph. The fourth one is a Venn diagram. It is an illustration that uses circles to show the relationships among things or finite groups of things. Venn diagram helps to visually represent the similarities and differences between the two concepts. This time, prepare yourself for an engaging listening activity. During the first reading, kindly take down important details to be used as your reference or guide in doing the activities. For the second reading, complete the given graphic organizers. Let's start. Video games have been blamed for problems ranging from thumb injuries to low test scores. Detractors of the games complain that they are noisy and flashy, that they involve players so completely, that their other activities are neglected, and that they don't offer physical exercise. These critics, however, are overlooking the benefits. Video games help us sharpen the skills that are useful in more serious activities. First, these noisy, flashy games train us to ignore distractions. We must keep our minds on what we're doing despite the blinking lights and mechanical noises. This ability helps us when we need to work or concentrate despite the honking horns, warning sirens, humming refrigerators, and flickering neon signs that form the background of our lives. In this loud and lively age, we need all the practice we can get in blocking our distractions. Second, as we play, we learn to concentrate on and deal with a number of different elements. If we don't, we lose right away. If we don't, we lose right away. Once this skill is developed, it is likely to spill over into more serious activities, like studying or putting together projects. In other words, video games improve our ability to process information. Finally, video games give us one essential kind of physical exercise. We get practice in coordinating with our eyes, see with what our hands do. This form of coordination makes some academic skills, such as copying from the chalkboard or taking notes for reports, much easier. Of course, good hand-eye coordination is also vital for important mechanical skills like driving. Playing video games, therefore, is an enjoyable form of self-improvement. It's wiser to spend a few quarters developing concentration and coordination than buying bubble gum.
Based on the listening text that you have just heard, there are problems or disadvantages of playing video games, which are shown in the table. Your task is to complete the table by giving the benefits and also the disadvantages of playing video games. You are given 15 seconds to do it. Your timer starts now.
Video games have been blamed for problems ranging from thumb injuries to low test scores. Detractors of the games complain that they are noisy and flashy, that they involve players so completely, that their other activities are neglected, and that they don't offer physical exercise. These critics, however, are overlooking the benefits. Video games help us sharpen the skills that are useful in more serious activities. First, these noisy, flashy games train us to ignore distractions. We must keep our minds on what we're doing despite the blinking lights and mechanical noises. This ability helps us when we need to work or concentrate despite the honking horns, warning sirens, humming refrigerators, and flickering neon signs that form the background of our lives. In this loud and lively age, we need all the practice we can get in blocking our distractions. Second, as we play, we learn to concentrate on and deal with a number of different elements. If we don't, we lose right away. If we don't, we lose right away. Once this skill is developed, it is likely to spill over into more serious activities, like studying or putting together projects. In other words, video games improve our ability to process information. Finally, video games give us one essential kind of physical exercise. We get practice in coordinating with our eyes, see with what our hands do. This form of coordination makes some academic skills, such as copying from the chalkboard or taking notes for reports, much easier. Of course, good hand-eye coordination is also vital for important mechanical skills like driving. Playing video games, therefore, is an enjoyable form of self-improvement. It's wiser to spend a few quarters developing concentration and coordination than buying bubble gum.
Let us check your answers. The problem and disadvantages are noisy and flashy games, too much focused on the games that other activities are neglected, and lastly, do not offer whole body exercise. On the other hand, it has benefits and advantages too. For example, it trains us to ignore distractions, help our minds to work with focus and concentrate on the activity. Video games also improve our ability to process information and give good hand and eye coordination vital for important mechanical skills like driving. Congratulations for doing great, learners! Certainly, you were able to respond correctly. Let us have another one. It requires you to supply the information in a concept map. Take your time, learners!
Video games have been blamed for problems ranging from thumb injuries to low test scores. Detractors of the games complain that they are noisy and flashy, that they involve players so completely, that their other activities are neglected, and that they don't offer physical exercise. These critics, however, are overlooking the benefits. Video games help us sharpen the skills that are useful in more serious activities. First, these noisy, flashy games train us to ignore distractions. We must keep our minds on what we're doing despite the blinking lights and mechanical noises. This ability helps us when we need to work or concentrate despite the honking horns, warning sirens, humming refrigerators, and flickering neon signs that form the background of our lives. In this loud and lively age, we need all the practice can get in blocking our distractions. Second, as we play, we learn to concentrate on and deal with a number of different elements. If we don't, we lose right away. If we don't, we lose right away. Once this skill is developed, it is likely to spill over into more serious activities, like studying or putting together projects. In other words, video games improve our ability to process information. Finally, video games give us one essential kind of physical exercise. We get practice in coordinating with our eyes, see with what our hands do. This form of coordination makes some academic skills, such as copying from the chalkboard or taking notes for reports, much easier. Of course, good hand-eye coordination is also vital for important mechanical skills like driving. Playing video games, therefore, is an enjoyable form of self-improvement. It's wiser to spend a few quarters developing concentration and coordination than buying bubble gum.
What is the main topic or idea of the selection? Correct! It is all about video games. What about the supporting details and explanations? Kindly check if these are included on your list. First, noisy and flashy games train us to ignore distractions, keep our minds focused, and help concentrate on the work. Second, involve players so completely but teach them how to concentrate on and improve their ability to process information. Third, give essential kind of physical exercise. Good hand and eye coordination vital for important mechanical skills like driving. Can you give the concluding statement? That's right. Playing video games, therefore, is an enjoyable form of self-improvement. It is wiser to spend quarters developing concentration and coordination than buying a bubble gum. You did well, learners. Amazing. Now that you have learned how to interpret the information you have listened to, kindly get your activity sheet and answer the given activities. Activity, directions. Listen and interpret the information from this given link and answer what are asked below.
Listening is really a very important skill that you need to master in this time and age because of the bulk of information we see and hear every day. By being an attentive listener, you can understand more and improve your relationship with others.
Exactly, your undivided attention will help you succeed at life. Always remember that the knowledge you get in English helps you become a global citizen capable of conquering the world. This has been Ma'am Mahalia
And Ma'am Pinky,
your English teacher, saying continue to love, care, and share. Still here in your one and only educational TV program, Ang Tangkub. Goodbye!
Hello grade 9 learners! Welcome to another learning episode of Ang Tangkub TV-based instruction. For today's lesson, we will discuss the different mixing methods used in making cakes. Mixing methods used for cakes. Creaming method. The creaming method, also called as the conventional method, was for a long time the standard method for mixing high-fat cakes. The development of emulsified or high-ratio shortenings led to the development of simpler mixing methods for shortened cakes containing greater amounts of sugar and liquid. Two-stage method. The two-stage mixing method is a little simpler than the creaming method, and it produces a smooth batter that bakes up into a fine-grained moist cake. The name originated from the practice of adding the liquids that are added into two stages. The first step in making high-ratio cakes is to blend the flour and other dry ingredients with shortening. When this mixture is smooth, the liquids, including the eggs, are added in stages. One-stage method. This method involves adding the liquid ingredients to the bowl first, which simplifies the procedure. In this way, there is less chance for moistened flour to coat the bottom and sides of the bowl, making scraping down difficult. Mix at low speed until the dry ingredients are moistened to prevent dry flour from being thrown from the bowl. Mix for a period at high speed, followed by a period at medium speed to properly develop air cells and create a smooth, fine textured batter.
The all-in-one method became very popular about maybe 30 years ago, where all the ingredients put into the mixing bowl at once. And I must say, I find it a wonderful method for items like cupcakes, buns, queen cakes, for muffins as well. But you do get a better textured Madeira cake if you use the creaming method. But for buns and cupcakes, I do find the all-in-one method perfect, which means we just put all the ingredients into the mixing bowl at once. So, in with the flour, sugar. There's no need to worry about the order these go in. You just toss them all in together, as the name suggests, all in one. All in, the marge, the eggs. Now, one little tip I have for you here. When you use the all-in-one method, I find you're inclined to beat a lot. It's inclined to be a bit heavy. So to get a lighter result afterwards, always add about 2 or 3 tablespoonfuls of cold water, not milk. Milk, I find, gives a heavier result. You get a lovely light bun or cupcake if you use water. And that same water is added if you're using the all-in-one method for Madeira cakes and so on. So all the ingredients into the mixing bowl with the water and beat. Start on a low speed first of all, and then increase the speed as your ingredients come together. Now once you've reached top speed, again, if you have the margarine or butter at room temperature, and indeed the eggs at room temperature, your mixture will come together in about 15 or 20 seconds, again depending on the power of your mixer. So there we have our cupcake or Madeira mixture ready for transferring to the bun tins. There we go.
Flour batter method. The flour batter method is used for only a few specialty items. It produces a fine textured cake, but there may be some toughening due to the development of gluten. Flour batter cakes include those made with either emulsified shortening or butter or both. Sponge method. Many types of sponge method cakes have one characteristic in common. They are made with egg foam that contains yolk. These are usually whole egg foams, but in some cases, the base foam is yolk foam. And egg white foam is folded in at the end of the procedure. Angel food method. Angel food cakes are based on egg white foams and contain no fat. Angel food method should be whipped until they form soft, not stiff peaks. Over-whipped whites lose their capability to expand and to leave the cake. This is because the protein network is stiffly beaten whites has already stretched as far as it can. If the whites are whipped to soft peak eggs, they can stretch more during baking, allowing the cake to rise. Chiffon method. Chiffon cakes and angel food cakes are both based on egg white foams, but here the similarities in the mixing methods end. In angel food cakes, a dry flour sugar mixture is folded into the egg whites. In the chiffon method, a batter containing flour, egg yolks, vegetable oil, and water is folded into the whites. Egg whites for chiffon cakes should be whipped until they are little firmer than those for angel food cakes, but not so much that they become dry. Chiffon cakes contain baking powder, so they do not depend on the egg foam for all their leavening. Combination of creaming or sponge method. Some are begun by using creaming method. In other words, butter is creamed with sugar until the mixture is light. However, instead, whipped egg whites are folded into the butter, as for some sponge cakes. The three main goals of mixing cake batters are: combine all ingredients into a smooth, uniform batter, form and incorporate air cells in the batter, develop the proper texture in the finished product. There you have it, learners. Those are the different mixing methods used in making cakes. At this point, let us try to check your understanding from today's lesson. Please get your activity sheet in TLE Bread and Pastry Production 9 and answer the given questions. Before we end, always remember, small steps in the right direction can turn out to be the biggest step of your life. This has been Teacher James saying continue learning and hashtag Shine Tanggub Stars.
What's up, grade 10 learners? It's a new episode to learn another meaningful lesson in English. Still here in your one and only educational TV program, Ang Tangkub, where you learn new things the fun and easy way possible.
Please bear with us as we will travel the world of the oppressed and those considered as outcasts in the society, as we will discuss The Hunchback of Notre Dame by Victor Hugo.
Exactly, and your undivided attention will help you come up with a literary critique based on Marxist approach.
Before we begin, let us first learn the term Marxist approach or criticism and learn what are some of its special features.
Marxist criticism is a type of criticism in which literary works are viewed as the product of work and whose practitioners emphasize the role of class and ideology as they reflect, propagate, and even challenge the prevailing social order. Based on the theories of Karl Marx and so influenced by philosopher George Wilhelm Friedrich Hegel, This school concerns itself with class differences, economic and otherwise, as well as the implications and complications of the capitalist system. Marxist critics are also concerned with how the lower or working classes are oppressed in everyday life and in literature. Marxists believe that people are born as creations of economical or social positions.
This is because Karl Marx perceived that human history consists of a series of struggles between classes, between the oppressed and the oppressing, or the haves and the have-nots.
A Marxist critic asks questions like, first, who has power? Second, who lacks power? Third, what is the relationship between power and wealth? Fourth, who is exploited by whom and why? Fifth, how does power remain constant or shift throughout a work of literature? And lastly, what makes certain characters powerful or powerless?
Now, let us analyze The Hunchback of Notre Dame, which was originally a novel of Victor Hugo, which has too many movie adaptations already.
Before going to the novel summary, let us first get to know the important characters of the story. First, we have Quasimodo, the deformed hunchback who lives in the cathedral. Quasimodo was abandoned as a baby and rescued by Claude Frollo, whom he follows unquestionably. Quasimodo was kept in isolation his whole life, spending his time playing the bells of the cathedral, which eventually caused him to go deaf. Now let's look at Archdeacon Claude Frollo, who lives in Notre Dame and is Quasimodo's only connection to the outside world. He keeps the hunchback isolated and rules over him with a hard heart. Frollo becomes infatuated with the gypsy Esmeralda but blames his lust on witchcraft and sorcery. Regardless, he repeatedly tries to convince Esmeralda to give herself to him, but is always refused. This leads us to Esmeralda, the beautiful gypsy girl with a heart of gold. She is admired throughout the city for her beauty. She treats others with compassion, which is shown when she gives Quasimodo water before a time of suffering. Lastly, we need to discuss Captain Phoebus, who leads the king's archers. He also lusts after Esmeralda and is able to seduce her. When he is stabbed by the jealous Frollo, he disappears and does not show himself even when Esmeralda is convicted of his murder. Now that we have clarified the important key players in this drama, let us look at a brief overview of the plot. The Hunchback of Notre Dame. The novel opens with the Festival of Fools in Paris in 1482. The Hunchback of Notre Dame, Quasimodo, is crowned Pope of Fools as the ugliest person in the city. As he is raised up, mocked and paraded through the crowd, the poet Pierre Gringoire attempts to get the people to watch the play he is presenting, but is unsuccessful. Archdeacon Frollo puts an end to the parade and has Quasimodo brought back to the Notre Dame. Gringoire, meanwhile, takes note of the beautiful gypsy girl La Esmeralda dancing in the street and follows her home. On the way, he sees her attacked by Frollo. Gringoire, in his attempt to save her, is knocked out by Quasimodo as Frollo flees. The hunchback is captured and later beggars and unsavory characters attempt to hang Gringoire. Gringoire is saved by La Esmeralda, who offers to marry him for a period of 4 years. The following day, after a quick trial, Quasimodo is sentenced to hours of torture. In addition to the physical pain he must endure, he is also publicly ridiculed for his appearance. No one will give him any water until La Esmeralda does so. At the same time, a woman known as Sister Guardiola accuses Esmeralda of having been responsible for the kidnapping of her daughter 15 years ago. Several months later, while dancing near Notre Dame, Esmeralda is approached by Phoebus, with whom she has fallen in love. He asks her to meet him that night. Frollo has been watching them from atop the cathedral, and in jealous rage over Esmeralda, he rejects God and vows to learn black magic and alchemy. He follows Phoebus to his rendezvous with Esmeralda, stabs Phoebus, and escapes. Esmeralda is captured by one of the king's guards. Esmeralda is tortured while on trial and falsely confesses to being a witch and to having killed Phoebus. She is sentenced to be hung. Frollo comes to her in jail and proclaims his love for her. He pleads with her to reciprocate his love and have pity on him, but she refuses. In the public square while awaiting her execution, Esmeralda sees Phoebus and realizes he has survived the attack but kept his injury secret. Esmeralda calls to him, but he does not acknowledge her and goes into the home of his fiancée. At that moment, Quasimodo appears at the top of the cathedral and swings down on a rope. He takes Esmeralda amid his cries of sanctuary, takes her into the cathedral. He too has fallen in love with her. Notre Dame does in fact provide sanctuary, as Esmeralda cannot be executed while she remains inside the cathedral. While she tries not to look at Quasimodo, they begin to develop a sort of friendship. He is inspired by her singing when around her, even though he cannot hear. Outside the cathedral, a group of beggars has decided to attempt to rescue Esmeralda, having heard that the authorities have ordered her removed from the cathedral. When they approach, Quasimodo mistakenly believes they have come to kill her and fights them, killing many of them. Frollo, meanwhile, knowing that attentions are diverted elsewhere, uses the opportunity to take Esmeralda out of Notre Dame. He tells her to choose between marrying him and facing execution. She selects death and is left with Sister Guardiola, who, as it turns out, is Esmeralda's mother. Sister Guardiola tries in vain to help her daughter. From afar, Quasimodo sees Esmeralda hanging from a scaffold and cries out in grief. He grabs Frollo and throws him to his death. He looks down at Frollo's body and Esmeralda in the distance and realizes they are all he ever loved. When in the future Esmeralda's remains are found, a hunchback skeleton is wrapped around them.
Now, let us take a look at the novel using the critical eye of a Marxist critic and answer the following questions. First, who has power? Second, who lacks power? And the last one, how are the social classes depicted in the novel?
Let us answer the questions one by one. The first question is, who has power? Among the main characters, Claude Frollo holds power and is a ruthless Parisian justice minister who, after a series of sensitive circumstances, becomes the begrudged caretaker of the deformed Quasimodo.
Aside from his political authority, Frollo is a religious zealot with intolerance for sinners. He believed that Romani people or gypsies, as he referred to them, to be the heinous of all malefactors, and therefore dedicates 20 years of his life to eradicating them. Frollo's self-imposed mission drives him to commit inhumane acts of violence, all the while using his loyalty to God as justification. With a majority of the novel's heavy thematic elements being directly tied to Frollo's story arc, such as religion, lust, and genocide, he is widely considered to be among the most complex and darkest villains of all times.
Now let us proceed with the second question. Who lacks power? The powerless characters in the story were both Esmeralda, the gypsy, and Quasimodo, the hunchback. As a matter of fact, they were treated as outcasts of the society. And during the time the novel was set, there was no respect given or equality to outcasts in the society. The scene that Esmeralda tried to portray when she was praying to God, she had the idea that she is not worthy of praying to God, for she considered herself to be a gypsy. For this is what the society thinks of her. Marxist hierarchy of social class could be seen through this, that there are those who view Esmeralda as such, which would probably be the elites and the middle class. But if we try to deconstruct the excerpt, the next few scenes would show how Quasimodo tries to make Esmeralda feel that she is not alone, that they are part of the same class that the society have built.
Quasimodo is even described as someone who has a face that not even a mother could not love, since he was found abandoned in Notre Dame, on the foundling's bed, with orphans and unwanted children are left to public charity. On Quasimodo's Sunday, the first Sunday after Easter, by Claude Frollo, the Archdeacon of Notre Dame, who adopts the baby, names him after the day the baby was found, and brings him up to be the bell ringer of the cathedral.
Now let us proceed with the third question. How are the social classes depicted in the novel? The author, Victor Hugo, clearly draw a line that separates class differences, which actually set the 1789 French Revolution in motion. Discord among the clergy, nobility, and the third estate, those middle class of artisans, craftsmen, and intellectuals, toppled the monarchy and established a republican government that no longer recognized the special privileges of the aristocracy and the church.
Writing during the July 1830 Revolution, Hugo was more conscious about class division more than ever. Wealth has made people noble, not their deeds. Poor and physically deformed Quasimodo and the gypsy Esmeralda was considered outcast of the society. There is no justice shown to the outcasts. Esmeralda values justice too, but when she tries to push for justice, she gets in trouble. On the other hand, Archdeacon Frollo considered himself as pious, upright Christian man, but in reality, he is filled with sin and darkness and loves no one but himself.
Now that you got a different view by which to look at a literary piece using the Marxist approach, it is now your time to get your activity sheet and do what is expected of you. Congratulations for finishing the lesson, grade 10 learners. Always remember that the knowledge you get in English helps you become a global citizen capable of conquering the world. This has been Mama Halia
And Ma'am Pinky,
your English teacher, saying continue to love, care, and share. Still here in your one and only educational TV program, Ang Tangkub. Goodbye!
Hello grade 10 learners! Welcome to another learning episode of Ang Tangkub TV-based instruction. I am Teacher James, your teacher in TLE Housekeeping 10. For today's lesson, we will identify the different cleaning chemicals used in housekeeping. Cleaning agents and chemicals. Detergents. Detergents are made from pure soap or organic chemicals. There are two types of detergent. First, soapy detergent comes in flakes for washing delicate fabrics and powder for washing soft fabric. Second, the synthetic detergent. It is made from organic chemicals derived from petroleum. These are used extensively in housekeeping. It is used for cleaning tasks and for washing up the floors. It may be in forms of powder, liquid, gel, or crystals. Deodorants. Deodorants are cleaning agents used for hiding bad smells. They counteract stale odor and sometimes introduce fragrance in the area. They are used in guest rooms, bathrooms, and in public areas. They are available in liquids, powders, and crystalline blocks. Naphthalene, for example, serves as an effective deodorizer. Acid cleaner. Acids used as cleaning agents may vary from mild acid to strong concentrated hydrochloric acid. Acid should be used in solutions followed by thorough rinsing. Except for citric and acetic acids, all acids should be used under supervision with extreme caution and with the protection of rubber gloves. Strong acids are poisonous and corrosive. Here is a guide for using the following acid cleaners. Use citric and acetic acids for cleaning metals. Use diluted hydrochloric acid in removing lime scale from sanitary ware. Use oxalic acid for removing stubborn water stains from hard floors and sanitary wares. Laundry aids are used as cleaning materials which contain stiffening agents and fabric conditioners. Polishes are cleaning agents that are applied to a surface to form a hard protective layer and thus guard against finger marks, stains, and scratches. They also create a pleasant shine on a hard surface. Examples: metal polish, furniture polish, and floor polish. Alkaline cleaners. Alkaline-based cleaning agents are used in laundry and are particularly good for removing grease. Very strong alkaline materials are known as caustic materials and are extremely corrosive and poisonous. They must be used under strict supervision. The following are alkaline-based cleaning agents. Sodium carbonate or washing soda, used to soften water and remove light grease marks. Sodium hydroxide or caustic soda is used for removing grease from grills and black drains. Sodium hypochlorite or bleach is used for whitening and removing stains from hard and soft surfaces. Solvent cleaners. These cleaning agents are used extensively for dry cleaning and for stain removal. They all have strong fumes and should be used in a well-ventilated room. Solvents are useful for cleaning grease or polishing surfaces. Solvents will evaporate, so they are ideal for cleaning windows, mirrors, and picture frames. Floor seal can be either solvent or water-based. It is applied to a floor surface to form a semi-permanent protective barrier to prevent dirt, liquids, grease stains, and bacteria from penetrating. It may last for 5 years before replacement is necessary. Examples of floor seals are oleoresinous, a clear solvent-based sealer used on wood cork and magnesite floors. It consists of oils, resins, and solvent. One-pot plastic. It is made of synthetic materials. It is used on wood, cork, and magnesite floors. Pigmented sealers. These sealers contain color pigments which provide color and also strengthen the sealers. They are used on wood, concrete, and stone floors. Disinfectants. Disinfectants are used to kill harmful germs. Most disinfectants have strong smell and therefore should be used in recommended amounts in areas where germ control is required. Examples of disinfectants. Phenol. It is used to dilute or concentrate solutions to disinfect surfaces. Halogen. Its element chlorine and iodine are used as disinfectants. Abrasives. These are substances or chemicals that depend on the rubbing or scratching action to clean dirt from hard surfaces. Examples are fine abrasives, such as the jeweler's robe. It is a pink oxide of iron used for shining silver. Hard abrasives, such as sandpaper, fine ash, pumice stone, and steel wool. Water. Water is not a cleaning agent, but it is very important in rinsing and finishing the cleaning process. Use warm water to dissolve detergent more easily. Safe use of cleaning chemicals. First, read container and label instruction. Second, make sure all cleaning chemical containers are not leaking or damaged. Next, label all chemicals correctly. Fourth, Wear personal protective equipment at all times while handling chemicals. Next, do not mix chemicals. And lastly, do not stir contents of containers of cleaning chemicals. There you have it, learners. Those are the different cleaning chemicals used in housekeeping. At this point, let us try to check your understanding from today's lesson. Please get your activity sheet in TLE Housekeeping 10 and answer the given questions. Before we end, always remember that according to the celebrity host and philanthropist Oprah Winfrey, the biggest adventure you can take is to live the life of your dreams. This has been Teacher James saying continue learning and hashtag Shine Tanggub Stars.
We hope that you have learned the most essential lessons you need to master. See you on our next episodes. This has been Ang Tangkub.
It's Tangkub time. We learn all things, it's very fun, masaya. Tangkub na.
Good afternoon to all our junior high school learners. Welcome to Astral Academy Cyber School. I am Ma'am Mahalia from Santa Maria National High School.
Still your Ma'am Pinky Del Castillo of Sumirap National High School.
And I am Teacher James Marquisa Porno of Sumirap National High School, and we are
your teacher facilitators today.
Today, learners, is March 3, 2022, and we will be learning English and TLE subjects.
That's right. So we will start with TLE subject, and our learning competency for TLE 7 carpentry is...
Alright, so tools and equipment are identified according to the classification or specification and job requirements.
Yes.
That's right. So a complete inspection is an important preventive way to make sure equipment is safe for use and that all systems are working properly. Employers are also required to get unsafe equipment and repaired to ensure workers are safety. Damaged or broken equipment requires immediate repair to prevent problems. So today, we will be discussing the classifications of hand tools used in carpentry. Primarily, classifications based on their uses. So first, we have the measuring tools. Ang examples sa mga measuring tools are?
We have the pull-push
Rule.
Okay, so you also have a ruler, a meter stick, and also a tri-square. And lastly, a caliper.
That's right. So based sa ilang ngalan palang daan nga measuring tools, these tools are used to measure the length or the size of the materials that you will be using in carpentry. More likely kasagaran mga woods.
Yes.
And then the second
we have also the marking lining tools. We have there the first one, the pencil. You are familiar with this, learners.
Yes.
The second one is the marking gauge. The third one is the chalk line. The divider is the fourth one. And the last one is compass.
All right. So as the name implies, marking lining tools, these tools are used in marking or lining your material.
Yes, before cutting them.
Yes,
right?
you will know kung asa to inyong gi-measure nga part. Dili mo magmata-mata lang.
Tama.
Okay.
And then the next one is
testing tools. So we have the tri-square, the steel square, the spirit level, and the plumb bob.
all right. So testing tools are used primarily in testing the surface of the materials you are working on if sakto bang iyang pagka right angle, iyang pagka curve, and the likes.
Exactly.
Okay, we also have, after the testing tools, we have the edge cutting tools. First one is the chisel to trim and shape wood, the plane to obtain smooth and flat surface. We have here Here also the spoke shave tool to form an irregularly shaped object. And the cabinet scraper, it is a rectangular piece of steel with two cutting edges used for working flat and curved shapes.
Alright, so these are cutting tools that are used primarily on cutting the edge of the wood.
Yes.
And then we also have the tooth cutting tools. Examples of these are crosscut saw, rip saw, back saw, and any type of saw or gabas.
Tooth here is referring to the tooth of the saw.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Alright,
Next.
we also have some boring tools. Some examples are, you have their expensive bit, auger bit, and drill bit.
Yes, boring tools are used to make holes actually
Yes,
in the wood.
In the wood.
Okay, we also have the holding tools. The C-clamp, the bench vise, and the bar clamp.
Alright, so these holding tools are used para ma-hold ang mga kahoy while cutting baka or while planing nga dili siya mag-move-move.
Yes.
Okay.
And then we also have the miscellaneous tools such as the oil stone, the files, the paintbrush, nail set, or saw set. Katong mga pakapin nila such as saw set, iyahang mga blades.
Yes. We also have, Sir James, the portable power tools, the sander, router, jigsaw, the circular saw, and the electric drill.
So power tools man siya, nagkinahanglan siya og mga or electricity.
Yes, electricity, the use of electricity. We also have PPE, of course. These are very important to protect ourselves. We have the goggles, the ear protector, the face mask, the gloves, and of course, the apron.
Yes.
And we also have the driving tools, which are the claw hammer, the mallet, the nail set, and the screwdriver. Primarily, when we say driving tools, these are tools used in carpentry that are fasteners.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, so we are now, is this our activity already?
Yes,
James?
exactly.
Okay, so the first activity that you have, learners, is to classify the different types of tools. Write your answer, of course, on the space provided. For example, you have there the claw hammer, so you must identify what type of equipment is the claw hammer.
Yes,
Or
classify.
tool.
And then the second activity is for them to identify the tools that are described in each item. So I know for sure that is very easy for you.
Yes,
Next.
good luck, learners. Okay, so I think we will proceed with our grade 8 learners.
Yes.
So James, hello there, our grade 8 learners. So
Okay.
for quarter 3, week 4, our
Their learning competency is
for
to
grade
use appropriate hand tools and test equipment.
All right. So these hand tools, test equipments refers to your computer hardware servicing course. So of course, a technician needs to be able to properly use each tool in the toolkit. This topic covers many of the various hand tools used when repairing computers. Match each screw with the proper screwdriver, for example, is a very necessary skill that a technician should know, and you should be able to place this screwdriver at the proper place. Kaya di ba magkalain-lain man na siya sizes and the likes. So today or this afternoon, we will be learning how to use some of the hand tools used in computer hardware servicing. First with the flathead screwdriver.
Okay, that's right. So there are some cautions, of course, when we use these type of hand tools. All right. So what do we need to remember if we will use the flathead screwdriver, Sir James?
So of course, you need to remember if excessive force is needed to remove or add a component, something is probably wrong. So usay bitaw pag ma-stuck ang kanang the screw.
Yes. Okay.
Then dili siya makaya og
you cannot
drive
just
sa
get it.
screwdriver,
Yes.
then maybe naagyoy or maybe
There's a
nag-rust na
tendency.
sa ubos
Mhm.
or
Yes.
dili sakto ang screwdriver, dili
Nga
match ang
gigamit.
screwdriver nga gigamit nimo sa size
Sa
sa screw
screw, that's
nga imong
right.
i-remove.
Okay.
So you need to take a second look to make sure that you have not missed a screw or a locking clip that is holding the component in place, and then refer to the device manual or diagram for additional information.
Okay, so we have here also the Phillips head screwdriver. If we have a flat head, we also have the Phillips head. It is used to, Phillips head is screwdriver with cross heads
Screws,
of
yes.
course.
So again, ang kalayan niya kaganiha kay flat katong one line lang.
Yes.
And then kani si Phillips head katong murag cross,
Cross.
ang iyahang linya.
Ang ulo
So
sa
same
screw.
ra siya sa paggamit sa flat screwdriver. And then we also have the hex driver. So use a hex driver to loosen and tighten bolts na pudta. So
Okay.
bolts
Ni
katong
Sir James.
lingin-lingin.
Yes.
Dili to mga
Gagmay.
screws, yes, that have a hexagonal or usually six-sided head. Hex bolts should not be over tightened because the threads of the bolts can be straight. And then do not also use a hex driver that is too large for the bolt that you are using.
That's right.
So-
Okay, there are cautions, Mamahalia, or there is a
Yes,
caution
that's
in
right.
using this. So some tools are magnetized. So when working around electronic devices, be sure that the tools you are using have not been magnetized. Because what is the effect of this? Maybe.
Magnetic fields are harmful.
Yes,
That's correct.
right.
So test the tool by touching the tool, of course, with a screw. So if the screw is attracted to the tool, do not use the tool.
Meaning
So
na
of course there are
magnetic field.
precautions.
Yes.
Okay. That's
All
right. So
right.
we also have the part retriever, the needle, the nose pliers, and of course the tweezers. So the part retriever, of course, the needle, nose pliers, and the tweezers are essential tools. These are used to place and retrieve parts
Parts.
that have been hard to reach with your fingers.
O
That's
katong mga
correct.
suok-suok nga mga parts sa computer.
So we need to use them. So do not scratch, of course, any components using this tool. So be careful.
Yes, of course. We also have the proper use of cleaning
materials.
materials. So keeping computers clean inside and out is a vital part of a maintenance program. Yes.
Okay, that's right.
So
Okay.
dili na to trapuhan og tubig.
Yes.
Okay.
Ang computer or damp
yes.
cloth.
Or
Ang atong
alcohol.
computer, there are proper materials that are
for
used in cleaning gadgets.
That's
yes, I
right.
think I remembered before we have the compressed air, something like
And do
that.
not
Yes.
forget before cleaning any
Compressed pump air.
Yes, before cleaning any type of computer or any device, you have to turn it off, learners, and unplug the device from the power source for your safety.
Exactly. Next, for computer cases and monitors, clean computers cases in the outside and with a mild cleaning solution on a damp lint-free cloth. Mix 1 drop of dishwashing liquid with 4 ounces of water to create the cleaning solution. If any water drips inside the case, allow enough time for the liquid to dry before powering on the computer, or you can just use your vacuum cleaner.
Okay, so there are parts of computers, I think, are these parts, Sir James? And the proper way on how to
Maintain them. Exactly.
We have there the LCD screens, how to maintain it,
The CRT screens.
and so
And of
on.
course, they can see this one in their
SLMs.
Okay, that's right.
So we also have, what are these? The components.
Contact. Same
Contacts.
ra na siya. Itong mga parts na
Okay.
siya sa computer,
Okay.
such as the keyboard and the mouse, on how to maintain and use them properly.
That's
Okay,
right.
so because they already have an idea,
Yes.
of course, how to use these tools, it is now time that you be guided with your activity. And that is activity A, that is to identify, of course, appropriate tool and use for
To
each
use.
of the, appropriate.
Following.
Yes.
Okay.
Kung unsa to nga mga procedures nga naa sa ilang item.
Do we only have
Sa
one activity
questions.
for this, Sir James?
Yes, I
Okay,
think.
so good luck,
Okay.
learners, for you.
Oh, they have
Oh, we also
activity
have
B.
another one.
So that is to complete the,
Cleaning chart.
yes, it's a
Cleaning
chart, or it's a
chart.
table. Okay.
Okay, so I think that's all for
More
grade eight.
discussions after a short break. This is Astral Academy Cyber School.
And we are back still here in Astral Academy Cyber School.
Yes, yes. Hello, hello to our grade 9 learners and good luck for your new lesson this afternoon. What is that, Sir James?
Alright, so your learning competency for TLE Bread and Pastry Production 9 is to prepare sponges and cakes according to recipe specifications, techniques, and conditions, and desired product characteristics.
Yes.
So primarily this afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, or class, since this competency is a very broad one, we will be focusing more on the techniques.
Yes.
Of course, and of course, those techniques that I am referring to are the mixing methods used for cakes. So,
Okay.
Ma'am Pinky and Ma'am Mahalya, sa inyong pagluto-luto sa inyong balay, naba mo yung mga mixing methods?
For me, kay wala kay ko'y background, Sir James, pamataka lang.
Pero at least circular motion.
Yes,
That is
usually.
the ordinary mixing technique,
Yes.
the circular one. But of course, in baking, natin nagkalain-laing klase sa mixing methods. Depende kung unsa ang atong gibake. Depende po og unsa ang characteristic sa ato ang ingredients nga gusto ma-achieve.
Okay, so we will
Alright.
teach that to our students.
First, we have the
creaming method. So this is for shortened cakes. So the creaming method, also called the conventional method, was for a long time the standard method for mixing high-fat cakes. Oh, high-fat.
Of course, that fats refers to the shortening such as margarine, butter, and lard.
Yes.
Alright, so
Okay.
creaming method class kay for shortened cakes kay nagamit man kag shortening. So more on fats. Kung may yung tag-shortening class sa fats na siya. Kung may yung tag-fats sa baking, dili na fats nga tambok na to.
Yes.
But then again, these fats are
Dato ta na.
referred to butter, margarine, and lard.
Lard.
So mo nang gitawag po na siya og shortened cake. So kaning creaming method, igo lang mo i-mix, but mura siya nag-mix lang ka pero pas-pas gamay, and then you are not using only your wooden spoon
Equipment.
or ladle,
Okay.
you are using the whisk. Are you
Whisk.
familiar
Yes.
with the
Yes.
whisk? Katong
There are some
pambatil na to sa
elec-
itlog
Yes.
kasagaran. Exactly.
And I think nowadays there are some electric whisk.
Yes.
Yes.
And mixer.
Yes.
Madepende po sa brand ang iyang price.
Okay.
Alright, next mixing method used for cakes.
Is the two-stage method. So the two-stage mixing method is a little simpler than the creaming method. Why? It produces a smooth batter that bakes up into a fine-grained, moist cake. Okay.
So this two-stage method actually is, mong gitawag siya two-stage kay para lang masabtan gamay sa ato ang mga learners. Ang first stage magud-an na imong gimix daan ang kato mga ang liquid ingredients o ang dry ingredients.
Yes.
Then gamix pug kadaan sa mga shortening.
Okay.
Usa pa nimo siya gi-combine. So
Together.
mas sayon siya ang pag-mix or ang imong pag-combine sa duha ka mixture.
Okay, so we also have, if we have two-staged, we have one-staged. So this is something to do with liquid shortening method. So this method involves adding the liquid ingredients to the bowl first, which simplifies the procedure. So in this way, there is less chance for moistened flour to coat the bottom and sides of the bowl.
Alright,
Oh, I
so
see.
in one stage method, the liquid shortening method. So sama sa kung gimong kaganya, kung may tag shortening or fats, we are referring to the butter or the lard or the margarine. But in this mixing method, you are not using butter, lard, or flour. You are using the oil. So, liquid informancy oil, mas dali mo siya i-mix. And then, para mas madali pag yun, imo ang i-mix tanan ang liquid ingredients before nimo i-add tanan ang dry ingredients.
Okay. So we also have the sponge method. So there are many types of sponge method cakes have one characteristic in common. So they are made with egg foam that contains yolks.
So sponge method, mo ni siya kasagarang ginagamit when making your chiffon cake because your chiffon cake is an example of a sponge cake.
Okay, so we also have angel food methods. So these are for cakes that are based on egg white foams and contain no fat.
Same ra ni siya o procedure sa atong sponge method, but then again, sa angel food or the angel food method, wala ni mo gigamit si egg yolk.
Okay,
You are
only
only
the egg
using
white.
the egg white. Still, parehas ra sila sa sponge method nga nag-incorporate kag
Yes.
more air.
And this method is applicable for those who are health conscious. I think,
Mm-mm.
Sir James and Mamahal.
Yes,
because
kay mas less ang cholesterol.
Yes,
Wala po siya
of
nagamit
course.
ng fats.
That's right.
Okay.
And we also have the chiffon method. So the chiffon cakes and angel food cakes are both based on egg white foams. But here, the similarities in the mixing methods end. So in angel food cakes, a dry flour sugar mixture is folded into the egg whites, while in the chiffon method, a butter containing flour, egg yolks, vegetable oil, and water is folded into the whites.
So, kani si chiffon method, diri, in short, mo ni siya combination sa two.
Yes.
The sponge method and then ni angel food method. So, pwede magug ka magbuhat og lain-lain klase sa sponge cake, depende ra pod sa imuhang gusto.
Okay, alright.
Preference.
So we also have a combination of creaming and sponge method. So there are 3 main goals for mixing cake batters. And what are these?
First,
Pink. Okay.
First is you have to combine all ingredients into a smooth, uniform batter.
Second, form and incorporate air cells in the batter. Kanang mga magbula-bula bitaw sa tungkad para soft ang imuhang cake.
Yes.
Okay. And lastly, develop the proper texture in the finished product.
Alright, so that's it for today, learners. Now we will move to your activity.
time, learners.
Yes, and the directions, that's for you to match the term in column A with the definitions in column B. So use an arrow to connect your answer. This is 2 points each. I think they can do this.
That's
Yes.
It's very easy, for
Easy
them.
for you learners.
Okay. So now we'll proceed to TLE 10. So hi there to all
Hello,
our
hello,
TLE
great
learners.
learners.
Your learning competency is actually to identify cleaning chemicals used in housekeeping.
Okay.
Alright, so today we will be learning the different cleaning chemicals used in housekeeping. So, cleaning agents are used to make the cleaning job easy. And these cleaning agents used in the housekeeping are very plenty.
Yes,
So,
correct.
daghan. So, we will be just enumerating
And
them.
most of them can be found at their specific homes.
Yeah, so of course, you are very familiar with detergents. Natay liquid detergents, naputay powder detergents. We also have the deodorants. Of course, these deodorants doesn't refer to the deodorant, the body deodorant that we are
We place on underarms.
using in our body, but these deodorants refer to such air freshener
Yes.
and even the
Naphthalene
albatross.
balls. Naphthalene.
Yes, are you
Are those
familiar?
naphthalene balls? Yeah.
Yes. And then we also have acid cleaners. So these cleaners are primarily based on acid.
So
And-
examples of such, the very basic, I think, is this muriatic acid?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Exactly. And then we also have the laundry aids. So laundry aids, examples of laundry aids are the stiffening agents and the laundry fabric conditioner, I mean. And then polishes, pangpasinaw. So natin nagkalain-laing klase sa polishes, na polishes para sa furniture, na para sa floors,
metal.
And for the linens, maybe there are also some.
And then we also have alkaline-based cleaners. So when we say alkaline, examples ani na ay sodium carbonate or the washing soda, the sodium hydroxide or the caustic soda, and then we also have the sodium hypochlorite or the bleach, which is
so
very
this-
common to us.
Yes, and this cleaner is used for removing grease.
And I think some moms can actually make their own bleaching
Yes,
version, the
exactly.
hypo.
And then we also have the solvent cleaner. So kani si solvent cleaner, mo ni siya kasagar the most common solvent cleaners used in the housekeeping is the perchloroethylene perc, which is used in dry cleaning.
Okay.
Kanang sa katong mga mahalon nga mga fabrics na masanay na nga
Okay.
dili pwede bason.
Oh.
So i-dry clean lang
Good
na
thing we
siya.
don't have
Even
this,
some
yeah.
shoes kanang mga ana di man na sila pwede mabasa og ayo. So
solvent
cleaners ang gamito na anak. Ang pamaagi sa cleaning is dry cleaning. And then we also have floor seal, disinfectants, abrasives, water. Water is actually not a chemical or a cleaning agent, but it is very useful in
cleaning, of
cleaning.
course. Yes.
It's the universal solvent.
Yeah, it
the
is.
water.
It is really an important. Before all these things were developed, of course, water is already there.
Yes.
Primarily, kung mogamit ang water lang, it is also advisable to use warm water
Warm.
para mas dali makatangtang og mga
Yes.
hugaw-hugaw and
Humok
the
ang
like.
Mancha.
And
Yes.
then naapod tay mga cleaning chemicals nga dili pud nato siya pwede idiretso gamit. We need to dilute it first with
With
water,
water,
of course.
yes. So that's why it's part of the ingredients.
And because we are talking about cleaning chemicals, of course, it is very important for us to remember how to use them safely.
Yes.
So first, read the container labels and follow the direction. Dili ta magbuot-buot
Direction
og
for
atoa.
use, yes.
And then,
You also have to make sure all chemical containers are not leaking or damaged.
Yes, and you have to label all chemicals correctly.
if ever man ganing mo siyang ibalhin o
Yes.
putanganan. And then wear personal protective equipment at all times while handling chemicals such as your gloves and your masks.
That's right. And do not mix chemicals, learners.
Yeah, there might be a reaction. Some might explode, alright?
Yes.
So do not sniff contents of containers because some of them are very acidic.
Yeah, it's strong.
Yes, and
Yeah, strong,
corrosive.
corrosive.
Scent
Okay.
is
All right, so now we will move to your activity.
Yes, and the directions just to identify what is referred on the statements, of course. And please answer on the space provided. Kayang-kaya nyo na to, learners. Okay.
All right, that's all for now. We will be right back after the short break.
This is Astral Academy Cyber School.
matuto sa mga aral sa mundo. Tayo na. Tumutok na sa TV, mag-aral ng maigi to get the lessons easily. It's tangkop, tangkop, tangkop time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na. It's tangkop, tangkop, tangkop time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya.
And we are back still here in Astral Academy Cyber School.
All right, so today, learners, flashed on your screen is actually your second attendance marker. So, kindly copy that.
Okay, so this time our grade 7 learners, we will be discussing English 7.
Yes,
so,
because we're done with TLE, we
Yes,
will now
of
proceed
course.
with grade 7 English lessons.
And our competency, Sir James, is?
Our competency for today is to express one's beliefs or convictions based on a material viewed.
Okay,
Yes,
so all
that's
of us
correct.
has our own beliefs and convictions. So
That's
this
right.
time, we will differentiate what is belief and what is conviction.
Conviction. So when we talk about belief, it is something that is considered correct and true. For example, a person can believe in various things such as cultural or personal faith, morality or values. They express viewpoints, but they are not based on facts or other evidences. A belief is also an opinion, which is why it cannot serve as the basis for a formal argument.
Okay, it's an opinion of a particular person. It's a belief, a personal belief of a particular person. So, beliefs are very personal ideas and cannot be rejected because they express an opinion, as what I have said a while ago. It is not a mandatory, or it's not mandatory for beliefs to change completely with new experiences. Okay.
All right. So how about conviction?
Yes, Sir James, kindly.
All right, so when we
Do
say
it.
conviction, however, is a bit different to a belief. A conviction is something that an individual is convinced of. To be convinced, you need to obtain all the related information. It is based on the information that the conviction is built. Hence, unlike a belief that changes with time and new experiences, a conviction remains the same.
Okay, so it's more deeper. Compared to belief, conviction is deeper.
Okay. So there are basic signal phrases in expressing beliefs or convictions. So these are some examples. You can say, I believe, I
Yes.
feel, in my opinion, in my personal view, from my point of view, or you can also use I think.
Yes.
Pang beauty pageant kayo siya.
Okay, yes. And
Alright.
in your SLM learners, later, you are going to state your own convictions and beliefs based on a material view. So as a part of that, we prepared a infographics here about tips for studying. You can view this now. And from this, we will do our best to create statements that express convictions and beliefs.
Beliefs.
Okay, so we have there the tips. On our next slide are the examples of statements. Okay, kindly read the first one, Sir James.
Okay, the first example is, I believe that I can pass the test without studying.
Okay, so what do you think, learners? Is this a belief or a conviction?
So it is a belief.
Yes,
Yes.
it's your opinion only of a particular person.
You also have, in my opinion, studying is more effective when we get enough sleep.
So, obviously, Mamahalia, it is a conviction
conviction.
because it is really true. It is based from facts that you can study more effectively if you have an enough sleep.
Yeah,
Yes,
during
because you are
deprive yourself from
energized.
sleep. Yes, you are more energized.
And focus on the questions more.
That's right. And the third one, I think the shorter we study, the better. Is that true?
It depends on the person because we have different styles in actually learning.
That's
yes,
right.
different
so
learning
it
styles.
is only a belief learner. And the fourth
Because
one,
this will not work for all.
tama. And the fourth one, Sir James.
The fourth one, I feel that I should always keep myself motivated.
Okay, is that a belief or conviction? Of course, when you are motivated, you really have that, what do you call this, interest to
Yes, the
pursue
enthusiasm to pursue something despite of difficulties.
That's right. So it's a conviction. And the last one?
In my personal view, I need to discover my learning style.
That is very factual, Mamahalia. Okay, so learners, we have now your activity is to use the infographic to express your beliefs and convictions regarding COVID-19 protective measures. Make sure to use the basic signal phrases we mentioned a while ago.
Yes.
5 points each, learners.
All right, so I think they can do this. All right.
Yes.
Okay,
Good luck.
yes. And hello there to all our English 8 or grade 8 learners.
Hello.
Your competency is
Analyze literature as a mirror to a shared heritage of people with diverse backgrounds.
Okay, that's right. So when we talk about our competency, there are some terms we need to know first. So these are some essential terms. The first one, of course, is literature. So we should resolve that literature is actually any written works that are considered to have long-lasting impact or importance as it expresses permanent interest or interest ideas. This can either be in the form of poetry or, of course, prose. Yes. And we also have culture.
Yes, it is the characteristics and knowledge of a particular group of people, encompassing language, religion, cuisine, social habits, music, and arts, because culture depends from one place to another.
And of course, culture create diversity, which is the third word, Sir James.
So when we say diversity, it refers to the existence of variations of different characteristics in a group of people. These characteristics should or could be everything that makes us unique, such as our cognitive skills and personality traits, along with the things that shape our identity.
That's right. And we also have heritage. It is our legacy from the past that we live with today and what we pass on to future generations.
Yes.
And we also have cultural heritage. So it is not only limited to material objects that we can see or touch. This has something to do with tangible and intangible cultural heritage. It also consists of immaterial elements such as traditions, oral history, performing arts, social practices, traditional craftsmanship, representations, rituals, and of course, knowledge and skills transmitted from generation to generation within a community.
Just like the competition that we just recently had, right?
Balitao.
The Balitao competition, which is very nice.
Okay. So when we talk about some of these cultural heritage, we need to look at into 3 stages, most likely. We have the pre-colonial, of course, the colonial, and the post-colonial. Most of the Afro-Asian pieces that we have are bounded by influences from other nationality or races as well. Okay, so when we talk about pre-colonial, Ma'am Pink.
Okay, in this period of the pre-colonial, the native Afro-Asian countries are free from the influence of the Westerners, of course. But that does not mean that they are now savage and barbaric. They have their own kingdoms, empires, and rulings even before the colonizers came. Because Africans have rich culture.
Yes, that's correct. We also have the colonial, Sir James.
So during the colonial stage, this is the period where struggle came. So some of the natives were stripped of their dignity as humans, and some were treated as animals.
And I think you can see this in one of the literature pieces we will try to explicate for us to more or less give you a clue on how to do it on their SLMs later. So we also have post-colonial. So at last, liberalism awakened the natives, of course. So the love for their homelands grew more, and that they wanted to have it back, the freedom that they enjoyed for past decades or years. So they have their independence. But when the colonizers left, nothing was left of them. Yes, they started from scratch of rebuilding themselves. So we have here an example of a poem. This is written by Wol Soyinka, actually a Nigerian.
Yes.
Okay, so the title of the poem is Telephone Conversation. Okay, yes, Ma'am Ping?
Okay, so it's my turn to read. The price seems reasonable, location indifferent. The landlady swore she lived off premises. Nothing remained on our previous slide but self-confession. Madam, I warned, I hate a wasted journey. I am an African. Silence. Silence transmission of pressurized good breeding. Voice when it came, lipstick coated, long gold rolled, cigarette holder piped. Caught I was, foully. How dark? I had not misheard. Are you light or very dark? Button B, button A, stench of rancid breath of public hide and speak. Red booth, red pillar backs, red double-tired omnibus quelching tar. It was real. Shame by ill-mannered silence, surrender, pushed dumbfounded to beg simplification. Considerate she was, varying the emphasis. Are you dark or very light? Revelation came. Okay, so?
Okay, yes, let's continue reading the telephone conversation, Ma'am Ping.
Okay, you mean like plain or milk chocolate? Her accent was clinical, crushing in its light impersonality. Rapidly, wavelength adjusted, I chose West African sepia. And as an afterthought, down in my passport, silence for spectroscopic fight of fancy, till truthfulness changed her accent, hard on the mouthpiece. What's that? Conceding. Don't know what that is. Like brunette? That's dark, isn't it? Not altogether. Facially, I am brunette, but madame, you should see the rest of me. Palm of my hand, soles of my feet are a peroxide blonde. Friction caused. Foolishly, madam, by sitting down has turned. My button raven black. One moment, madam, sensing. Her receiver rearing on the damp thunderclap. About my ears. Madam, I pleaded. Wouldn't you rather see for yourself?
All right, okay, so of course, the theme here, let us discuss just the theme, of course. This has something to do with racial discrimination. So all in the poem, the telephone conversation by Wol Soyinka, this exposes the prevalence of racial discrimination in society regardless of the stringent laws against discrimination, of course. So he brings to light how it is practiced covertly by many white people. He highlights the hypocritical nature of these people in the poem. Through a simple telephone conversation, the poet provides an insightful observation on how the racial discriminating society functions. So, in order for us to exemplify that this is really found, the very mere first, I think these are the first few lines from the poem. The price seemed reasonable, location indifferent. So the landlady swore she lived off premises. Nothing remained but self-confession. So, Madam, I warned, I hate a wasted journey. I am African. So in here, it is very clear, of course, that the one who would like to inquire of the lot, so would, of course, he already has the knowledge that maybe because there are some people long before, that would really not like to have their places rented by Africans or black people. So telephone conversation, the first 5 lines brings up the issue of race. So a black man who is looking for a room for rent finds an offer at a reasonable price. It was said in an advertisement. But of course, he makes a phone call to the landlady of the property and confesses that he is a black man. So the opening line shows that the black man is aware of the double standard. So maybe even if he can afford, he will not be able, the woman will not allow him. So he makes a phone call to confirm if the room is truly available for a black man like himself. It also reveals that the black man has had bitter experiences in the past, and of course he must have believed that, of course, these indifferences, of course, has no point in the advertisement. So this can still be seen. including the landowner's answers. Imagine that. Are you light or very dark? Something like
Are
that.
you light
So
or dark?
supposedly these are not issues, but of course
Before
the color of your skin would dictate your placement in the society.
That's right.
So they should have refused him after coming to know that he is black.
How
So of
sad.
course, yes.
Okay, but Black Americans or Africans rather are survivors of their time because they
Yes.
managed to live independently despite of those discriminations.
And of course, people with colors right now are not that
Yes.
low anymore.
Yeah.
As a
Yes.
matter of
They
fact,
excel.
in all
Fields.
Yes.
Many people of colors are excelling.
Excelling.
At their own.
That's correct.
Field.
So I think we are actually struggling and fighting for, of course, equality and among
That's right.
races. So on
yeah.
your activity number 1, the directions would be to examine the following statements below. Write fact if the statements, of course, are correct. Write bluff if otherwise. And of course, for example, you have there the first statement, Sir James.
All
You'll
right,
give the
so
answer
for
to
the
this as a
first
bonus.
statement, culture encompasses religion, food, what we wear, how we wear it, our language, marriage, music, what we believe is right or wrong, how we sit at the table, greet visitors, how we behave with loved ones, and a million other things.
Yes, that's correct. And it's a fact. It's not a bluff.
It's a fact.
Yes. And for your activity number 2, Ma'am
Is
Ping.
to read the literary piece Vision by Pariah on your SLM. Learners then answer the questions that follow by writing the letter of the answer on a separate sheet of paper.
That's correct. Okay,
All
so
right.
all right,
More-
of course. So
Stay tuned because we will be right back after a short break.
This is Astral Academy Cyber School.
This is the way we speak. This is the way we read. This is the way we write. This is the English way. This is the way we speak. This is the way we read. This is the way we write. This is the English way. Come and learn to.
And we are back still here in Astral Academy Cyber School.
Yes. Hello to our grade 9 learners. This lesson is for you and our competency is
To interpret the information you have listened to using graphic organizers or visual representations.
Okay.
Of course, these are your specific objectives. Interpret information through a table, a diagram, and of course, a chart or a graph.
Yes, I know that our grade 9 learners are already familiar with some types of graphic organizers.
Yes, so of course, we'll go right away to the examples of these graphic organizers. So what are these examples? So of
Okay.
course, we have the charts, the tables, the graphs, the diagram. Of course, these are opportunities for them to learn faster and of course better. So on the next slide, of course, we will look into the
And
tables and
the image
how are
or
they
picture.
used, for example.
Okay, so we have there the table or grid. So as you can see there, an example we have there.
Yes, it is used to arrange
Okay.
systematically. You also have flow chart. I think these are best for organizational chart, following a process, for
That's
example.
right.
Yes.
Okay, and
Sir
yes,
James,
Sir
the third
James.
We
one.
also have a graph. I know our learners are very familiar with line graph, bar graph, and
That's
pie graph.
right,
So
pie
this can
graph.
be defined as a pictorial representation or a diagram that represents data or values in an organized manner.
And of course, the most common, the Venn diagram
That's
to
right.
express the similarities and differences between two concepts.
Okay. And
So-
for your activity, that is actually to listen and interpret the information from the given link. So you have the given link, and it's just you just need to answer or supply the answer to the following questions and statements. So for
Okay.
example, to describe the farmer and the collector in the story. So they just need to listen intently in order for you, of course, to make your
supply
own diagram.
information. And of course, do not be afraid, learners, if you cannot access the link, ask the help of your English teacher.
That's right.
Yes.
Okay.
So that's
we'll
it
now
for
proceed
grade 9.
to grade 10 learners, and your task is actually to critique a literary selection based on the Marxist approach. Okay, so what's this? So of course, Marxist criticism, we'll just have it in brief because I think they can read some of these on their SLM. So when we talk about Marxist, this actually has something to do with the social order, the prevailing social order.
That's right.
Whether you are, of course, middle class, you are poor, or for example, you're in the upper class. So this has something to do with it. We need to look at how people are functioning in society as regards to this and how this influence or affect others. Okay,
so
next.
in our next slide, we can see there questions to ask in making a Marxist critique. First, who has power?
Okay.
Second, Sir James.
Who lacks power?
We also need to ask what is the relationship between power and wealth.
Then, who is exploited by whom and why?
How does power remain constant or shift throughout a work of literature?
And what makes certain characters powerful or powerless.
Yes. So if you can notice, the magic word there is power.
Yes, that's right. So we just need, on your activity, it's actually to read the story, The Necklace by Guy de Maupassant, of course, and critique it using the Marxist approach. So for example, if you are to use the Marxist approach, you need to have something like this. This is given for you as an example. For example, you will say the necklace shows the reality of two classes of people, which are the proletariat and the bourgeoisie. So Mathilde, who belongs to the proletariat class, having a tough life compared to Madame Forrester, who belongs to the high-class society, which is the bourgeoisie. So even though Mathilde, who not lose the necklace, things will still be the same for her, even if she will buy the fake necklace because of her status. So she does not have enough money to live like that of the higher people or higher class people. So thus, the things that will only be resolved if she will tell the truth, because she suffered years in her silence because she lost this necklace, valued possession, only to find out that it was fake at the end. So look at the irony in the story.
Sad story,
Yeah, so I think you can do this, learners. Just make a critique. The rubric are actually it's actually found on your
That's
SLM.
right. Good luck, learners.
All
And
right.
that's all for our Thursday.
And our third attendance marker is actually on top of your screen. Thank you so much to our executive producers, Sir Gas Seppi, and of course to the entire production team.
Thank you so much.
And to our learners, of course. This is Mama Halia from Santa Maria National High School.
Still your Ma'am Pinky of Sumirap National High School.
And of course, this has been Teacher James Mark P. Saporno of Sumirap National High School saying continue learning and hashtag shine Tanggub Stars.
This is Astral Academy Cyber School. Goodbye. See you again next week, same time. Bye-bye.